All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. It is Friday, June 27th. We are closing out Q2 in basically another day. This is the second to last day, and then Monday is the official last day. And some things have happened since the market open. In particular, we got a Donnie T tweet, because why not? He's the content in chief. So, of course, we would get the content in chief on a Friday, giving us something to think about. So here's the tweet. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced they are putting a digital services tax on American tech companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They're obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That is what we got from Mr. Trump. Let's get a little bit of coverage right here, and then I'll give you guys some thoughts on what I'm thinking and kind of why the markets reacted, but also why the markets are recovering right now as well.
That Canada had been expected to, or the U.S. was hoping Canada might not move forward with, after the U.S. decided to take out that Section 899 revenge tax from the ongoing negotiations over that tax and spending bill that's in Congress. They moved yesterday to remove that. I'd been told they were using that as negotiating leverage with other countries and hoped that countries like Canada wouldn't then move forward. Now Canada is moving forward with this tax. Trump says because of that, all trade talks are off the table, and he'll be naming a new tariff rate within the next week. I will emphasize, though, Canada doesn't have quite as much to lose on the tariff front as other countries do at this point. They're not facing a July 9th deadline. And while there is a 25% tariff now on Canadian imports, anything traded under the USMCA is exempt. So that means that at least a majority of their goods are exempt from those tariffs at this point. But then again, there are sector-specific tariffs on steel and aluminum and cars as well. So we're seeing some impact there, but sort of a wait and see as to what happens in the next 7 days.
So here's what I think is going on. By the way, the S&P 500, I mean, it's barely red, right? It was at 615. It's at 613. There was a little bit of a dip across the board. I mean, Robina got to 82. It's at 83.60. Pouncer got to 136. It's at 138. Tessie did get to 318. It's back to 323. So it's almost like certain trends or certain resistance levels that eventually became support levels that have been holding up for the past couple of weeks have really did well today. I mean, you would think Tesla would crack below, Nvidia would crack below, Pouncer crack below. No, they're staying at where they were basically throughout the entire morning. Nvidia right here, 157, which has been an incredible day, all-time highs on Nvidia. And this piece of news didn't really do anything to cause that much pain. Now, why did it do nothing? Because I don't think anyone is seriously believing that Trump is not willing to negotiate with Canada anymore, and therefore we're going to have some massive new tariff drama. Like, does anyone actually believe that based on Trump's tweet, which, yes, I understand algorithms took seriously, and that's why we had that little gap down, but the reason we're recovering right now is because the algos are realizing, wait a second, Trump saying, quote unquote, we'll just tell them the flat rate and they have to deal with it, is literally him negotiating. I mean, I think all of us have the experience of what we saw in April, literally what we saw 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when Trump said that he's going to put 50% tariffs on the European Union. And then 48 hours later, Trump does this July 9th deadline with the EU that looks like it's going to go very well based on some of the things that we've been seeing over the past couple of days. I think Mark Carney is seeing what Trump is saying, and he's realizing, all right, so he's playing hardball. I'm going to have to be able to go back and forth. They were literally laughing and smiling with each other at G7, the PM of Canada, 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks ago, last week, before Trump had to leave early for dealing with the Iran-Israel situation. So to me, I mean, this is definitely going to be a taco, and he will find a way to justify the taco. But there is no way that we are unilaterally tariffing Canada and we're going to have no negotiations with Canada on how to navigate it. And the best part about this is that in the past hour, the Business Council of Canada came out with a statement, and they said, hey, Mark Carney should drop the digital tax, aka they should get rid of this whole, we're going to tax Facebook, Google stuff. So to me, this is irrelevant. It's not that big of a deal. If you bought any little bit of the dip, then congrats if that is the extent of the dip. But it goes to show how resilient, once again, this market is. And it is not willing to simply go down based on Trump's ways of negotiating And we're seeing that here again today. SoFi right here was 1750, came all the way down to 1703, now back at 1725. Google, wow, 1.6% on Googs. Not sure why that's running right here. And Amazon as well is getting a bit of a run, up 1.85%. Triple V, thank you for the $100 super chat again. You guys know that he did day trade Nike, or I guess swing trade Nike. Made a cool $700,000 on Nike. Nike right here up 15% on the day, about 100,000 shares yesterday, 62, sold at 70 this morning. So not too bad. Nike, its best day in history, by the way. At one point, it was up 18%. It was at 74. Right now, it's 72.24. So Nike right here up 15%. Grab, I don't know what's happening today for Grab. A lot of you guys are putting it in the chat. I have no idea. I don't see any news on Grab. I don't know. I honestly don't know why it's up 5% today, but I'm happy that it's up 5%. But I have no idea why. Grab right here, 492. Although I do want to add some things to my 20-page thesis. Like I was thinking of some stuff this morning, so I might update that thesis. Kind of have that document be a living, breathing document where hopefully we can get to like 100 pages of different stuff I'm thinking about. And so I'll post that over Twitter over the weekend if we update some stuff. Tesla right here, 322. Nvidia 157. AMD 143. Google, I don't know why it's getting this bid in the last 10 minutes of the day. Same thing with Amazon, but it is getting some momentum. Now, Palantir, again, there's a couple reasons I think Palantir is going down. You see this red candle right here. Number one is the protests in New York City. That could be potentially playing some role. We found out about that today in the Guardian article. Number two is the rebalancing, the Russell rebalance is what, from what I looked at today, is also potentially going on. So those are two things that could be happening. It also could just be people taking profits because Palantir is worth $317 billion, which is something we can't forget. But yeah, I think it's the Russell rebalancing, which means Palantir could be getting dumped by some funds because they have to be rebalanced. And number two could be some of the protest stuff. I don't think it's that much of the protest stuff. I think it's more the rebalancing, but that's why you're seeing some downside right here. Also, Kramer was pretty bullish on it yesterday. And so, it is what it is. That's how it plays out. I do want to say though, dude, I got a bunch of DMs today of people saying what's going on with Palantir. Like, guys, we have to be a little bit better than like being afraid that a company that was worth 350 billion is now worth 316 billion. And a year ago, it was barely worth 40 billion. So it's like, dude, there's been a pretty big move here. We just, we cannot be scared if it has a 7 to 10% correction, like a 15, 20% correction. It is very expensive. And if people want to take profits for whatever reason they want to take profits, it's something that I think we all have to understand. And I guess some people maybe bought at 135, 140. Like, I get it. But this is also why you sell covered calls. You're able to collect some of that premium, reduce your cost basis. And at all-time highs, selling those calls is not in my opinion, craziest idea in the world. So that's what we got in the context of Palantir. Again, I don't know the exact reason why it's down 7%, but it's Palantir. Like, it just can't be that upset that a $350 billion company is now worth $320 billion. Given how they've been trading over the past couple of years. AMD right here, 144, S&P 614. It does look like we're going to get an all-time high on the close for the S&P. We got all the way up to 616.39, which is not too bad. HIMS, great day, 8%. It was at 52, came down to 49.79, still not bad. ASTS, 49.56. Uber right here, 91.36. Roblox, 105. The Qs, 547. They were at 549 on the day at the top. So realistically, I mean, we really haven't seen that big of a drop off. Coinbase down 6%. This one was pumped up all week, so not too crazy to see that one come down. And then Circle, my put is finally printing a little bit on Circle from 300 to 179. This is why, again, chasing is not the best idea on some of these names. People that aren't in Palantir get excited on red days because there aren't many. That's fair. I get it. We've been blessed to not have to deal with massive red days on Palantir. And yeah, look, I see it. 8.9% down. Last 5 minutes into the close. Quite frankly, I think a lot of market makers as well were not going to allow the markets to get to all-time highs without a little bit of a rug pull, which is actually the real reason I thought we dipped in the middle of the day. And as a result, you got some people taking profits. You have algorithms taking over, but there's no fundamental news that I can report that would be the reason for Palantir being down 8%. Other than Palantir has been expensive for a long time. It is still expensive, and people might be taking profits, which is not too crazy. Now, Grab, again, I have no idea. I have no idea why Grab's up 5% either, but it's catching a bit of a bid right here. SoFi 1720, Googs at 177. Google, there's a lot. I guess there's just a lot of moves happening in the last 5 minutes. I mean, Google and Amazon getting a bid, Grab getting a bid over the past 30 minutes, Palantir going down literally in the past, call it 2 minutes. I'm not sure exactly. I don't see any news on my screen on those names, but it could literally just be algos on the second to last day of Q2. AppLovin, is that one getting hit? AppLovin, Yeah, look at that, down 4. Like these are and AppLovin and Palantir trade very similar, by the way, just in terms of being a momentum name. Robinhood actually holding on to 83. They also trade in that range. That one's doing okay. Duolingo is up 3%. Like, why is Duolingo up 3% after it was down 5% in the morning? I don't know. But we did say in the morning, this is the second to last day for Q2. You got a lot of options expiring. There's could be some wonky stuff happening. I mean, quite frankly, there could be a ton of Palantir call options that the market makers don't want to get in the money. And they're doing whatever they need to do to get this out. If there was some fundamental news, I would let you guys know. I just really don't see it. But those are some of my theories on what could be happening on some of these names. Iran, is that one running or was that one running? It hit 14. Yeah, still at 14, up about 7%. Lift right here. That's slightly down in the day. Nvidia is going to close at 157.50 at least, it seems like, in the next 4 minutes. Maybe even 158. If anything, definitely 157. AMD is going to close at 143, most likely. Tesla 323, and then Palantir 131. Found a little bit of support at 130.60 and got the rebound, but it looks like it could close below that. Yeah, it's the guys. I really think it's the rebalance. I think that's the more fundamental piece of news right here in the Russell. And I have to look a little bit deeper into how exactly the Russell's rebalancing. But from what news that I'm seeing that has anything to do with the fundamentals, I think it's that Russell rebalance, which I didn't even know that was happening today. Yeah, there you go. Palantir is going out of Russells and algo selling from ETFs. That seems the most logical here. Which means if you don't believe it deserves to go down 10% based on that reason, then that's a buy the dip. It's just a question of understanding that, you know, obviously the name is still expensive and has been expensive, but, you know, it's been allowed that premium from the broader market. So I think that would be kind of that core reason, because I don't have any fundamental reason. If I did, then we would talk about it. Tesla right here, 323, Nvidia 157. SoFi is probably gonna get the 17 close. Wow, Google, dude. I don't know what's happening last 2 minutes. I don't know if some fund is buying Google or something, but Googs and Amazon getting a little bit of a pump at the end of the day. Amazon is about 222, both of them together in tandem getting the pump. Microsoft, is that closing in on 500? Microsoft is red. Okay, so it went the opposite. It went the opposite for these two. All right, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes until this market closes out. And then we'll be done for the day. It was Austin. Austin was our resident Google bull who ended up doing what he needed to do to buy this thing. I mean, Jason did say on Tuesday, Google has a Coinbase-like structure, and we saw what happened with Coinbase. Bigger the base, bigger the breakout. Google has been forming a base basically for the past year now. And it would not be crazy if you do have that breakout as well. And if that's the case, you know, obviously that could be very bullish for the stock price right here. All right, 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Until we close this out. It has been a hell of a week. It is about to be finished. Last week of Q2, last official trading day is on Monday. And then we are officially done. Steve will be joining in about 30 minutes. We got a lot of other headlines that we'll talk about. And we will officially be done for basically Q2, and we will be entering Q3. And we are going to be closing at S&P 500. It looks like, are we going to get it? SPX? It looks like we are going to get it right here. Yep, we are going to get, ladies and gentlemen, an all-time high close on the S&P 500. Friday, June 27th, the stock market is now closed. All right, there it is. We're done. We're done for the week. S&P 500 all-time highs, 614.40 on the day. We will be analyzing and looking at some of these moves and some of these headlines after the bell. But there you go. We are officially done for the day. Palantir closes 130.74. 130.74. Robinhood 83.18. Tesla 323. Nvidia 157. AMD 143.18. Google 177. Again, getting a lot of that momentum as we get into the end of the day. Grab 490. Still don't know why that one pumped, but it did pump. Reddit right here, 143. Amazon right here, 223. Meta 733. Salesforce 272. PayPal 73.64 as well on the day. You can put in the chat if you had all-time highs on the portfolio and your year-to-dates as well. I think a lot of us this week probably saw some of that momentum. Again, for those asking why the Palantir big dip, it seems more likely that it was 9% down right here based on that Russell rebalance, which I had no idea was happening. But this morning we found out that was happening, and that seems to be kind of the fundamental reason why that's taking place. Nubank right here down about 1.42%. DoorDash 242, Delta 49.50, Iren right here 14.10, Cisco 68.65, Robinhood got the close at 83.18. Google again still getting momentum after hours 177.95, and then Amazon 222.90. 222.90 on the day. Yeah, maybe a catch-up trade with Google and Amazon. Maybe a little bit of a catch-up trade with Google and Amazon that's creating some of this momentum up as well. I see a lot of all-time highs. I see a lot of all-time highs in the chat. Coin's all-time high was like 450, but that was like years ago. Now they're at like 350. They were at 370 in the morning, but still not too bad. We got 14% year to date. We got 29% year to date. Nike, where is Nike? Again, after the bell, Nike right here ended 15%. I think this is one of its best days in history. 154% year to date. 32% all-time high. Christian all-time high. Up 19%. I mean, absolutely incredible across the board. Again, it was a good week. And if you're heavy NVIDIA, then it's been a really good week. Robinhood as well, really good week. I mean, we hit all-time highs at 85, right here at 83. Palantir did hit all-time highs at one point. Obviously, today got hit, but not a bad week. AMD, if you're heavy in AMD, good week. If you're heavy in SoFi, great week. If you are heavy in even Amazon, it was at 210 in the beginning of the week. Now it's at 222. I mean, just across the board, you had a lot of these names gap up. The semis, absolutely phenomenal week. We'll do an ETF check in a second, but AMD right here, 143. Micron, weird that it didn't react to earnings, but it had a great earnings. Broadcom, all-time high. ASML hit 800. Dell, 123. SMCI, even with the dilution, down 3% on the day, but was up 10% yesterday. TSM right here, 228. Qualcomm, 159. Marvell, down on the day, but up on the week. So overall, the semis, not a bad week for them, as we see. Again, for those asking about Palantir, I got to do some more research on this rebalance, dude. I had no idea there was a rebalance happening today, but it seems like that is the reason. I mean, I'm usually in tune with the Palantir news that comes out if there's anything fundamental, and I just like nothing the company said or anything like that. I really do think it looks like as the most logical answer is the rebalance that we had right here. But it was a loser compared to the rest of the market today, so that to me seems more specific to that rebalance here. Rocket Lab, how did that one end out for today? All-time highs at 37, 35, 38, and then AST did hit all-time highs. That one came down 49, 36. Okay, let's get into some other headlines and updates that we got going on, and we'll keep going from there, and we'll see what we're saying. I think Elon just tweeted. What did Elon say? Is it something about Tesla? It is something about Tesla. The first fully autonomous delivery of a Tesla Model Y from factory to a customer home across town, including highways, was just completed a day ahead of schedule. Congrats to the Tesla AI teams, both software and AI chip design. There were no people in the car at all and no remote operators in control at any point, fully autonomous. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first fully autonomous drive with no people in the car or remotely operating car on a public highway. Wow. It's kind of cool. It's kind of freaking cool. I mean, it's nice to see. I know the market faded the robotaxi news after that 350 pump we got on Monday. But if Elon is saying that this is the first time an autonomous car has been on the highway with no public support or anyone in the car, then it is nice to see. I wonder whoever got this car, they should definitely make a video and post that they got this car. That would be so cool to just see their testimonial of the car pulling up to them and like saying, hey, here's a new car. It better be cool. It's worth $1 trillion. Well, one could say Tesla's worth $1 trillion because eventually Elon would deliver a car autonomously. And so it looks like we got it today. Palantir was not 159 the other day. It was 148. We did not hit the 150s yet, but we did hit 148. How does Netflix keep going up? You know, I've been wrong on this for a long time, but I think the street thinks it's recession resistant. Subscribers are not going to stop. They're going to be the most profitable streamer. Consolidations happening in the streaming area. We're seeing that already right now with different acquisitions. And then ultimately the content's good. Even if I don't watch Netflix all the time, the content is good. And that's why it's getting some momentum. Here's a quick take we had on CNBC today on Robinhood, and then we'll get into some of the other headlines that we saw today as well.
There it is. I mean, it's blown past 64. So you just chased it up to 96. Kev, that's a name that you've owned.
Yeah, both Brent and I have Robinhood. This is a stock that I just can't stop falling in love with. Everything that they're doing is amazing. The amount of users.
Okay, never mind. Bessent is live. We will go back to the Robinhood thing in a second. Let's listen to Bessent. He just got on, and let's see what Mr. Bessent has to say.
This tax. Joining us now to discuss is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Mr. Secretary, it's great to have you on Overtime. Welcome.
Morgan, good afternoon.
Let's start right there. What happened with Canada?
Well, we knew it was coming. We hoped they wouldn't do it. Canada has this digital services tax, and several other countries do too. We disagree, and we think that they discriminate against U.S. companies. But what Canada did here, as of Monday, they're going to implement a retroactive tax. And we think that we don't like the taxes, and obviously we think it's patently unfair to do it retroactive. This was something from the Trudeau years. So we were hoping, as a sign of goodwill, that the new Carney administration would at least put a break on that during the trade talks. They seem not to have. President Trump has responded, and my inclination is that Ambassador Greer over at USTR will be starting a 301 investigation into the digital services taxes to determine the amount of harm to the U.S. companies and the U.S. economy in general.
Why is a Section 301 investigation the way to go, and what could that outcome potentially yield? Would that be broad-based, looking at Canada and the possibility of tariffs, or very targeted on certain industries?
Well, no, the president can impose tariffs based on IEPA, which is an Emergency Economic Powers Act. The 301 is more durable and could last longer.
So in terms of 301 being more durable and lasting longer, would this be more broad-based, looking across trade of goods and services with Canada more broadly, or would it be more targeted to certain industries?
No, it would be targeted across tariffs on Canadian products. And, you know, again, we'll have to see. We know the amount. I think it's about $2 billion of retroactive digital taxes, which seem patently unfair. We had been talking to the administration in Ottawa about this, and they decided to go ahead with it.
The European Union is doing something very similar in terms of a digital services tax. How is that factoring into negotiations there?
Oh, well, no, that's not right. The European Union does not have a digital service tax. Several countries within the European Union have digital service taxes. None of them have done those retroactively, and we're in active discussions with them to take those down. Because again, you know, who has the great internet companies of the world? It's the United States of America. So it singles out our great American companies.
So Canada, possible escalation, depending on how this plays out over coming days. De-escalation, though, and that was the news of the morning with China. What are the details of this China trade agreement?
Well, it's a continuation of the Geneva Agreement, and the centerpiece of it is that we agreed, and it's away from the tariff measures because the tariffs came down immediately after Geneva. Post-Geneva, we had an agreement with the Chinese government to start the flow of rare earth magnets again. They were not as forthcoming as we had hoped that they would be. So the U.S. implemented non-tariff countermeasures against the Chinese government. We believe that the rare earth magnets are starting to flow again under a licensing agreement or a licensing regime that the Chinese government implemented on April 4th. And you know, when we are certain that the magnets are flowing again, we will drop our countermeasures.
So a lot of speculation there about whether this July 9th deadline for trade deals is a hard line or whether there's some flexibility. Is there flexibility?
Again, it's going to be up to President Trump. We're going to follow his lead. What I would think is going to happen is there will be a lot of smaller trading partners. We will just send them letters. There will be a group of deals that we will land before July 9th on or about. And as Secretary Lutnick said yesterday, he believes there are 10 or 12 of those. And then there are probably another 20 countries where they could go back to the reciprocal tariff of April 2nd as we work on the deal, or if we think that they are negotiating in good faith, then they could stay at the 10% baseline. So there are a lot of moving pieces here. A lot of it is based on the consistency of the negotiations. And again, it will all be up to President Trump.
You know, historically, trade deals have taken years sometimes to craft. It's incredible how quickly you're moving here when you're talking about 10 waiting in the wings and perhaps another 20 behind that here in the next couple of weeks, just to put it in context. Another thing that seems to be poised to move quickly here, at least in the next couple of days.
So again, he's saying 10 to 20 deals in the next couple of weeks. I mean, if we get those, bullish. I think all of us are skeptical of that, but if we get the big, beautiful bill and then it's just deal after deal after deal, I mean, I think the market's definitely going to like it.
Is the Republicans have reached a tentative deal regarding the state and local tax deduction, SALT. At least that's what we're hearing. That had been a sticking point. My colleague Emily Wilkins is reporting there are a few other key topics still being worked out. But can this big, beautiful bill make it to the president's desk by July 4th?
I think there's a very good chance, and the only way to get there is for the Senate to start voting this weekend. I think I was just with the Senate Republicans, and I think they're going to start voting tomorrow.
Do you see potential roadblocks here over the next week?
Look, nothing's done until it's done, but President Trump's leadership has gotten us here at what people thought would not be a possible date. Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson have done an incredible job of holding small majorities together and getting the bill moving forward. So I'm optimistic we could have a July 4th signing.
What does the bond market need to understand about this bill, what it's going to mean for government spending and the debt load?
Again, it is the largest cut in discretionary spending non-discretionary spending in history. And the other thing too is, what do we care about? We care about growth, we care about spending. So if we can stabilize the spending and up the rate of growth, then that's how we start stabilizing the debt to GDP, this terrible situation we had, the deficit to GDP, 6.7%. We'd never seen anything like this when we weren't at war or in a recession. So, this was a peacetime deficit. So we are going to slowly bring that down in a methodical way, and we will stabilize the debt to GDP level and start bending the curve down.
Interest rates are still elevated, even as the dollar continues to weaken against other major currencies. Do these market moves concern you?
Which market moves?
What we're seeing in the dollar as it weakens and the fact that interest rates are still elevated here.
The couple of things are, Morgan, is I'm not sure why it would concern me that it's natural for currencies to move around. I've traded currencies 35, 40 years. So, currencies move up and down. The U.S. still has a strong dollar policy, and we're putting the economic factors in place to continue that. On the other hand, we are seeing for the first time a real attempt at defense spending in Europe. We're seeing the Germans take off the debt brake. So, more fiscal spend would tell you that the euro should appreciate.
If we stick with rates, and particularly here in the U.S., the Fed was slow to respond to spiking inflation a couple of years ago. We know the president's been very vocal in criticizing the Fed chair. Is it the president's concern that the Fed is behind the curve again?
Well, not my words, but the president's. He calls Chair Powell too late Jay, and so he's obviously worried that the Fed's behind the curve again. And Morgan, I would just point out that studies have shown that people who fall down then tend to look at their feet, which makes them fall down more. And the Federal Reserve fell down on the American people in 2022, let the great inflation get away from them. They should have been hiking sooner. So maybe that's what we're seeing here.
There's a lot of market chatter emerging right now about the possibility of a shadow Fed. How disruption would the nomination of a new Fed chair this far out from the end of the term of the current one be for the market?
Well, look, I don't think anyone's necessarily talking about that. There will be two seats opening, or there will be one seat definitely opening in beginning of the year when board member Kruger leaves, and then the chairmanship will open up in May when Chair Powell leaves. So Chair Powell doesn't have to leave. He could stay on the board, not as chair. So there is a chance that the person who is going to become the chair could be appointed in January, which would probably mean a October-November nomination.
Wow. End of the year, folks, we could get the answer to who will be the shadow Fed. And that just means that the markets might not care that much about what Powell has to say or what Powell even does, because they know in the next 5 months, there will be a new Fed.
Your name has been floated in some media reports as a possible replacement for Fed chair come next year. Your response, is that a job you'd consider taking?
Look, I'll do what the president wants, but I think I have the best job in Washington. We're making meaningful change, working on the president's agenda every day. I get to work closely with the president. I think that, as I like to say, we've done peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals. We spent the first 100 days setting the table on those. Now we're going to be landing all those over the next 100 days. So I think that's going to be pretty exciting.
That's not a no. That's not a no. Bro, if Bessent is the next Fed chair, that is going to be insanity if that happens. I don't think it's going to happen. I put a 10% probability right now. I think it'll be Kevin Warsh. But if he actually picks Bessent, I mean, rates are coming down, that's for sure. But that would just be crazy to see it play out.
All three of those we've been talking about this week. Finally, the idea, and I think this is really key, and it kind of brings us back to the beginning of this conversation with trade and tariffs, but this idea of higher inflation tied to tariffs. Case in point this morning, we haven't really seen it show up in the hard data. The Fed and Wall Street economists think that that's something that's going to materialize this summer. How are you and the administration gaming this out and thinking about this inflation dynamic?
Well, look, as you said, it hasn't played out, and we're seeing very low numbers. And forget imported inflation, because if we were to get it from tariffs, which has not happened, it doesn't have to happen. That's a small part of the inflation calculations. What we're seeing is service inflation drop. I think we're going to see the rent component drop, and the overall housing component, which is implied owners' rents drop. So the Fed's measure of supercore inflation is way down. PCE year over year is down. So it looks like the trends are quite good. We're at a 4-year low in gasoline prices, so we're going to have a great summer travel season. And Morgan, one thing I heard you talking with your colleague earlier, when they talked about the April tariff panic. So we found out today, this episode from April 3rd to today is the fastest bounce back after a 15% decline in S&P history. Fastest bounce back ever. So, the administration doesn't look at the stock market every day. What we try to do is set in place economic fundamentals, and presumably the market had a chance to digest the panic and is looking forward. So, I think it is telling you that
basically we screwed it all up, but then we fixed up what we screwed up even quicker than how fast we screwed it up. And as a result, basically what he's saying is we gave you guys the greatest dip of your lifetime in the middle of a bull market, and you guys still haven't even said thank you yet.
The tariff panic, or as I like to call it, tariff derangement syndrome, was overdone. We're seeing earnings growth. We're seeing a good path for interest rates. So, I think the economy is looking pretty good.
And and all of that has led to stocks at record highs today. Secretary Bessent, Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary, great to speak with you. We covered a lot there. I do hope you'll come back and join me again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dude, that was pretty freaking interesting. The idea that potentially Bessent would be the chair, which I really don't think that's gonna happen. I think that's pushing it a little bit too far, having one of Trump's best friends as like the chair. But whoever it's gonna be, we know rates are gonna come down. That's another reason why like a lot of dips are getting bought. We know the eventuality of this is gonna be that rates are gonna get cut. And then on top of that, Bessent already has lunch every week or breakfast every week with J-Pow. He's gonna be probably very close to whoever the new Fed chair is because it's going to be handpicked by Trump. And so that is something that I think the market could look forward to. In terms of Palantir, again, for those that are just joining Palantir, we're covering a little bit after hours. I think I have to go deeper into this. I really just did not know this was happening today. There was a Russell rebalance on Palantir. A lot of ETFs had to sell out of not just Palantir, but a ton of different names. I think AppLovin is part of this, which is why AppLovin was also down. And they had to reallocate into other names because it's a rebalance. Now, this also happened to Palantir on the opposite direction on the S&P and NASDAQ rebalance about a year ago in September, November 2024. Today, it's happening in this direction. So that could be the intense volume that's creating the selling pressure. Palantir right here, volume on the day was 197 million. Yeah, the average volume on Palantir is 97 million. We had 197 million shares today. So we basically had double. The reason we had double is likely because you had a ton of ETFs selling stock for the rebalance. And that's why it's down 8%. So I really wouldn't take this in some fundamental manner that some big fund woke up and said they need to sell their Palantir because of whatever reason. Like I just don't think that's the case. I haven't seen any evidence of that. It does feel like more that it is a rebalance. In terms of the ETF challenge, so we end out the week. Matt is up 12.25% all time. Tanner's up 6. I'm up 1.5. Steve's up 2.2. Chris is up 1.68. All right, so I'm now last. So it's Matt, Tanner, Steve, Chris, Amit. What hit me the hardest today, obviously, was Palantir. Tesla also got hit for me today. And then Duolingo is the one that's like doing the worst so far. Grab's doing well. That's up about 4%. Apple's up about 2%. And then Hood's up about 8%. Tanner, AppLovin is kind of the worst. Coinbase is the best. Matt, Oscar, Celsius, Amazon, Rocklab, SoFi, all those doing well. Steve had a tough week with HIMS, but that's slightly starting to recover. And then Chris, Oracle, Cisco, Marvell, and UNH are not doing too bad for him as well. So that's what we got in the ETF challenge. We got Matt in the chat. I'll take a pic to show you how I'm celebrating. I'm very curious to see this pic. I'm very curious. Very curious to see this picture. So yeah, dude, the Palantir thing, I think this is like, I don't think this is a big deal at all. I really don't. So there you go, 133. And if it is down 7 or 8%, I mean, quite frankly, dude, I know a lot of us would not mind buying more if we really did get some nasty dip. I just think it's hard to see that nasty dip independent of the market. And today, if we're seeing it as Palantir uniquely is coming down, I think that's because of the rebalance. That would be kind of the core logic on how that's playing out. Okay, cool. Big Daddy Chet, thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it. Some of these names, bro. Some of these names. We got General Weenus, Big Daddy Chet. Thank you all for becoming a channel member. Okay, this OpenAI thing. So this is why Google was pumping. This is why Google pumped. Apparently, OpenAI, or Google convinced OpenAI, this is the information reporting, to use TPU chips versus some of the NVIDIA chips. That doesn't mean they're not using a video, but that just means they're using a different type of processing for the different part of the architecture that they're building out, which means obviously they're still using Blackwell's, but they're also using Google's TPUs. And OpenAI reportedly is hoping Google's TPUs can help lower its costs. Interesting right here. Very interesting. So again, TPU, that's a tensor processing unit that is a bit different from a GPU. And if this is correct, that Google actually, we already know Google and OpenAI started working together 2 weeks ago when OpenAI called on GCP for more compute, which is super bullish NVIDIA and OpenAI because it means they have a ton of demand for users that are typing in queries, but that also means that they need more infrastructure. Google stepped up, said, hey, we can help you guys. Google up about 2%, getting a little bit of a bid towards the end of the day, just based on that headline. Now, will that headline result in any meaningful revenue this quarter? Probably not. Maybe in the future, if this becomes a much more bigger part of their business when it comes to TPU sales, but not bad to see. that is happening right here for Google. Yeah, and it's not bad news for NVIDIA. It's not bad. First of all, if it was bad news for NVIDIA, you would see NVIDIA move. But TPUs and GPUs can go hand in hand. Do they compete in some respects? Yeah, but this is not a story where Google's developing a competitor to Blackwell. That's just not exactly how they're competing right here. So that's just super bullish Google. That's nice to see. And Google's been trying to grow this TPU business for a while. Sundar has been talking about it for the past year and a half. Maybe OpenAI is one of that first big client that they can get to meaningfully scale this across the entire AI stack as well. Cool. So that's what we got on Google. And then here's that Robinhood clip that I was going to play from this morning.
That you've owned?
Yeah, both Brent and I have Robinhood. This is a stock that I just can't stop falling in love with. Everything that they're doing is amazing. The amount of users is going up daily. The AUM is incredible. And when you think about this stock longer term, not as a meme trade or someone playing on their phones looking at crypto, this is an infrastructure for the wealth generation of the next multiple decades.
Brent, it's a Roblox kind of market.
So there you go. Goldman Sachs upgraded it. Compass Point upgraded it. Got a bunch of upgrades into that $90 range. I mean, the dip today was 82. If you even got that, I mean, like, again, there's not dips in this market, bro. There's like there are some dips that come here and there, but wide scale, 10, 15%, or even at least 5% down across the board. It's just hard to, at least so far, see that playing out. Now, I think today was a little bit of a taste of what it feels like again to be super green and then immediately have a U-turn, right? And things just start going red. But it was, again, caused by a tweet. And take a look at this picture right here. This is when the S&P 500 turned red, 1:44 p.m. Eastern. On the NASDAQ, which also S&P at the same time. Trump tweeted at 1:44 p.m. Eastern. So, I mean, like, just like, this is why sometimes when you're actively trading, you just have to be so in tune with the news. And then, we didn't close at that all-time high that we were at around 12 p.m., but still, like, you got that was your dip right there. And if you bought it, then boom, you're doing okay right now. So I don't think it's crazy to expect a little bit of a 5% dip minimum, at least 2% dip over the coming weeks across the market. But every time we get anywhere close to getting there, you have some type of reversal or you have some level of dip buying that comes in, whether it's through toots or retail. And they say, no, I'm taking advantage of this, which is at least exciting to see in this current market. Circle, though, ugly day, but probably a needed ugly day. Circle right here down 15%. Where's CYM? That was another pump and dump. Yeah. Moved to 25 this morning, down to 16. They diluted again. Where's Arrow, that IPO from a couple weeks ago, 23. That is still up double from IPO, but down from 37. Soundhound, 983. That's down 1%. Big Bear AI, flat on the day. HIMS ended just below 50, 49.41. D-Wave, that one, 13.99, down about 1%. And then you had Archer as well, that I think was, down about 1.2 on the day. Steve should be joining in about maybe 15 minutes, potentially 20, but he'll be joining from his office, and we'll see him on camera. We'll see what he has to say. Amit, this is good news for your Google calls. Yes, this is let me check how much those were up today. So I've got the 150 2026s. They were up. I mean, they're up 12.6%, but the majority of the gain happened literally in the last 2 minutes at 355. So I am now down $4,600 on these. We need to get closer to 210 to break even. But yeah, hopefully that plays out. I did not invest in Lemonade. I'm probably not going to be investing. I think there is a thesis. I just personally was not super convinced. So I'm not going to be investing in that one. Pound right here, 133. A little recovery after hours. Did hit 130.5. Now 133. And again, dude, like, there are people that have been waiting for a 10% drop on Palantir. Boom, you got it today. And for some people that don't really have established positions, they might be hopping in and saying, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of that and try to see what I can do. These were the top 20 stocks that were traded today in the options market. NVIDIA, 4 million. Tesla, 3.1. Palantir, 1.2. AMD, 1.1. Amazon, 1 million. Apple's showing up every day in the top 10. So Apple's here, basically a million. Nike, 955,000. MicroStrategy, 947. Circle, 732. Coinbase, 700. SoFi, 700. HIM, 650. Meta, iBit, SMCI, Marathon, Google, Intel, Hoodie, 370. And then Microsoft, 335. So these were your top 20 stocks traded in the options market today. July cut. I don't think we're getting a July cut. We had Goolsby on yesterday. Also Goolsby said this, or Kashkari said this morning, he is very likely, or he feels it's likely that we start with a September cut. And he kind of explicitly said that. So September probabilities right here, as you can see, 76%. If we don't get a September cut, people are going to be upset. July's at 18%. That was at 24% a couple of days ago. So I think some of his comments took those percentages down. And most likely we are going to be waiting till September. Trump is live right now. Let's see what he's talking about. And let's see if they're saying anything. But he's live with foreign ministers of Rwanda and the DR Congo.
Never happened if they had the right modern equipment. It would have been bells and whistles would have been going on all over the place. And I had that all set. But when I wasn't here, they totally dropped it. You had a terrible head of transportation. We have a very good one now, Sean Duffy. But you had Buttigieg, and he didn't know a damn thing. He'd ride to work on his bicycle. He didn't know what the hell was going on. He was terrible. So he totally dropped that. It was a project that should have happened, and I was all set. But we had a very sad experience with the voting. And so we didn't get to do that. But now I'm doing it, and we're going to have a great system. And it's funded partially by the bill. It's the initial funding is by the bill, and then it gets to be funded. The rest of it comes a little bit later as we build it out. But we're going to build out the best in the world. We have the best companies in the world. A couple of countries have very good systems. In fact, I noticed when I was landing, my pilot often would use the system of another country. And I said, what are you doing that for? He said, the United States system is so bad. So we have the best companies that do that in the world bidding. You have Raytheon, you have IBM, you have a lot of different companies bidding, and we'll get the best one, the best system for the best price. And they're going to go to town and give us a system that will be better than any other system in the world. And you won't have planes bunking into each other at 35,000 feet.
Mr. President, on the subject of peace deals,
Yeah.
how close are you and your administration to a deal in terms of Gaza ceasefire right now?
Often asked, and I think it's close. I just spoke with some of the people involved. It's a terrible situation that's going Gaza. He's asking about, and we think within the next week we're going to get a ceasefire. And we're supplying, as you know, a lot of money and a lot of food to that area because we have to. I mean, you have to. We're in theory not involved in it, but we're involved because people are dying. And I look at those crowds of people that have no food, no anything, and we're the ones that are getting it there. Some of it's being taken by some bad people. If you give it and you give it out, and they're supposed to be taking care of the people, and they end up stealing the food and selling it. But we have a pretty good system now. But so we're helping with that. You see the lines of people that just get one meal essentially. But it's too bad other countries aren't helping out. Nobody's helping out. We're doing that because I think we have to on a humanitarian basis like this. We didn't have to get involved in Africa.
We got some news after hours just now. The Federal Reserve says all 22 banks passed the annual stress test. Federal Reserve says large banks well positioned to weather severe recession in 2025 from the stress test they just had. Not bad. Not bad. All right, so let's check after hours real quick. XLF, that's the banking ETF. Little green. Financials, dude. I think financials are going to have a really strong Q2. All this M&A, all this IPO, all this trading volatility, that should be just money for JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, etc. So it looks like the stress test, not too bad. I think Matt's in Italy right now. Where is Matt? He's sending me these photos. Where is this? What is this, Matt? Where are you? They might not be able to see it because of the Zoom. He's in some. Is this Italy? Is this Mexico? This is not Mexico. There's no way this is Mexico. I think he tweeted that he was in Italy. Got a nice little Airbnb here. Why are you in Italy? Wait, Mexico? Oh, I forgot. Wait, hold on. Mexico was this weekend? Why isn't Chris there? Wasn't Chris supposed to go with you guys? wait, he's in Cancun. Wait, so Chris didn't go? Wait, so what the wait? So, oh, Chris is no, Chris is. There's no way Chris is there. I feel like Chris would have. Dude, Chris called me last night at like 12 a.m. I feel like he would have been sleeping if he had to go to Mexico. Chris is there. Why didn't Chris tell me that he was going to? Or I guess I forgot they were going to Mexico. Steve is not there. Steve's gonna be on the show soon. All right, you guys are messing with me. Tanner's definitely not there. I know that for a fact. I think Tevis is there with you, right? I'm in the group chat. Okay, so Tanner, so Chris, Tevis, and Matt are. Dude, I forgot you guys had Cancun this weekend. Completely forgot. And I definitely didn't think Chris was going. But I guess he went. All right, cool. Tevis, Chris, and Matt. All right. Well, take photos. Make sure you show us. Dude, I thought that was in July, bro. I had no idea that was end of June. But I guess that's the case. All right. Well, all three are there. Look, I'm happy for you guys. I hope you have fun. I'm also very freaking happy that I'm not in Cancun right now because I do not want to be in Mexico. I have zero desire to be there. But I'm happy that you guys are there. Happy that you guys are having looking for baddies. Goodness, dude. Well, hopefully they have a fun time. Hopefully they have fun. Dude, I did not know Chris was going to. Dude, Chris called me at like 12:30 last night after the deep dive. I did not know he had I didn't even ask him about it because I forgot. I completely forgot. All right, there you go. They are in Mexico.
We did but some days, and yeah, we'll see what happens.
Are you considering sending Patriot missiles to Ukraine? Have you made up your mind about that yet?
I may. Go ahead.
On this context, Mr. President, there are a few unanswered questions that remain in this deal. For example, will Rwanda on this deal, on this conflict? For example, will Rwandan troops pull back from parts of the DR Congo? And also, will the M23 rebel group be allowed to remain in parts of eastern DR Congo? Do you have any answers to those?
Well, let me ask you that question. You want to answer that one? It sounds like an interesting question for you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. In the agreement we signed, we have taken the concept of operation for the neutralization of the FDLR, which is a vicious genocidal movement, and the lifting of Rwandan defensive measures. So this was already signed last year in November, so we will implement it. This concept of operation to do both things, to neutralize this movement, which has been destabilizing Rwanda for many years, and to lift our defensive measures. As for the M23, in the agreement also, we have decided to rely on the Doha talks because there are currently talks between the AFC M23 and the DRC government to have a peace deal also that will complement the Washington peace agreement. So both.
All right. So foreign ministers of DR Congo and Rwanda and Trump talking about different peace deals and probably weapons deals that they're setting up. Overall, market's relatively flat after hours, but nothing too crazy. Again, we saw that OpenAI Google TPU news. Probably not going to get any comments from Trump on the Canada stuff. We just had Bessent give us a good amount of details on why they're doing that. I think there will be a deal with Canada very shortly. I don't think there's going to be anything too dramatic there. And outside of that, that's what we got. We talked about Palantir today already. There was a Russell rebalance on Palantir. I'm pretty sure, based on some of the things I looked at, even after hours, that is why Palantir fell. It is concerning me, though. I'm going to be dead honest, dude. I'm very concerned that people are freaking out this much about a 7% decline on Palantir. Just personally, I am very weirded out by the fact that people are so scared that a stock that's trading at 350 billion fell 7%. I don't know if it's a select group of you and that those are sticking out then from the majority, but whatever the reason is, it is not crazy for Palantir to have a pullback. And if, God forbid, this thing heads to 120, I mean, I'm going to get my head chopped off before some of you guys are going to find me or something. Goodness, bro. I understand wanting to know why it's down, but it's almost like people are like, I'm not stressed. I'm not sweating. Not even for a second do I care. It's it is what it is. So it is an absolute nothing burger. The fundamental reason around it seems to be a Russell rebalance. But even if there was some analyst that came out with a report saying, hey, we don't like Palantir's valuation, take it. Do you have that little confidence in Palantir that you can't handle a 7-10% day? And if anything, not be more excited if it were to fall further because you could buy more. Like, it's weird, bro. I don't. 10% is okay. So hold on. 10% is aggressive. The company is trading at 100 times sales. So when we talk about a pullback being aggressive, can we also talk about the valuation itself obviously being aggressive? I know it stayed at these levels and it's been normalized, but like, can we not? I mean, have we all forgotten this thing is trading at 350 billion? As much as I love Palantir, like I think anyone will tell you that's a bit aggressive for a company that's doing $500 million in profit. And I think we've been all able to figure out how the street is thinking about it and how people are getting excited about it, which is why it has this multiple. But that doesn't mean that like it's not trading at an aggressive multiple. And aggressive multiples, guess what? They take pullbacks. Every major tech company in history that is traded at an aggressive multiple, Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, etc., they've had pullbacks. So to me, it's just not that big of a deal. Yeah, we're a little too spoiled with Palantir, bro. We all have to remember the stock has gone from 6 to 140. And it is not crazy to see it get a little bit of a pullback. Now, but I guess I understand that people are curious about why. And the reason for why is it looks like that Russell rebounds. And I had no idea. I was caught off guard completely. I had no idea there was a rebalance happening today. And I didn't even know there was still Palantir part of certain ETFs in that Russell that had to ultimately rebalance out of it because Palantir is just too big to be in those now. So, yeah, I think on some of these, we just have to chill out. And now you guys are trolling. Now you guys are trolling with these comments. Now you're just freaking trolling. That's okay. Was there any insider sales? I mean, let me check. Maybe that could also be the reason. There hasn't been insider sales on Palantir for like the past couple of weeks. No insider sales yet. On Robinhood, was there any insider sales? Today's June 27th. No insider sales. All right. So none of that today that could have caused it. It was because the imbalances were at 350 were 9 million to the sell. Yeah, that makes sense. And again, a lot of that rebalancing ultimately led to that sell side pressure. It's just pension funds selling. It could be a lot of different funds that are selling. The point is they have to sell on the rebalance. And, that's what's causing, at least that's what it seems like is causing the downside pressure today. 2024 Amit would have seen this. Dude, 2024 Amit, every other week was, realistically after May, because May we fell another 20% after earnings. After May, 2024 on Palantir was just like every week. Literally, I think it was every week it was like another $5. I was crazy, bro. I went to India thinking like, all right, it's going to be chill. And then I'm up at 3 a.m. in India being like, holy crap, we're hitting $42. Like, and Robinhood was hitting $25 for the first time when I went to India back in October. So India was wild because like the biggest holdings were just running like wild. What are your thoughts on MicroStrategy? I still have Misty. I wonder what the dividend's going to look like. I have 500 shares of Misty. I'm actually green on it now, so it's like above my cost basis. But yeah, I think MicroStrategy is a great vehicle to get exposure to Bitcoin. I don't necessarily think holding MSTR is the most like efficient. I think the options around MSTR are way more productive to be able to yield income on, or potentially yield just different strategies that you can use with the vehicle. But I think long term, I like owning a business that is implied within the Bitcoin ecosystem, like a Coinbase or Robinhood. Obviously, I'm biased. I like Robinhood, but just the pure alpha to Bitcoin via net asset value premiums. All these Bitcoin treasury companies are trying to replicate what MSTR did. So if you were going to buy one, I would buy MSTR. Seems like it's the best one, but also it's the one that is appreciated the most. So the alpha there might not be as extreme compared to like a Metaplanet or Anthony Pompliano. Dude, Pompliano bought like 3,000 Bitcoin the other day. So like all these freaking treasury companies, they're just popping out the woodworks, and they're probably going to be helping Bitcoin maintain its momentum. I think he bought, there you go. He bought another 1,200 Bitcoin 2 days ago. Boeing was up 6% today. Yes, Boeing was up 6%. The average price was 105,000. They now have a total of 4,932 Bitcoin. So there you go. Pomp raised money. That was a SPAC. His SPAC was basically to buy Bitcoin. Palantir dropped more today than some of your guys' original purchase prices, 1351. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. It's absolutely crazy. So I got a lot of messages on Twitter, bro. Like there's one guy was like, I'm in vacation, but why is Palantir down 5%? I'm like, bro, like enjoy vacation. And like, also it's 4%. Like how big of a deal can this actually be like making you feel right now? Like it's just, I would understand if it's like 25% or something, or 20%, even 15%. This was for the majority of the day, 4 to 5%. Then towards the end of the day, it got to 9%. Now it's at 7%. But like, I guess just we haven't seen a day like this in a while, so I understand. But I also think we have to recognize Palantir's, trading at a high multiple. Grab looks like it's about to explode. I've been seeing some of the TA people on X that have started tagging Grab, and they're saying that the stage 1 is now complete, and that if it can hold over 535, you have blue skies coming up. I don't know, bro. I'm not concerned about the TA for Grab. I'm so concerned about, or I'm so interested in the fundamentals. I'm so deep into that. Like literally last night, bro, I was reading articles from 2023 about Grab. I've got to update my Google Doc because I've got a lot more stuff I want to write down. And I'm just realizing, like, at this point, I'm getting to the point where my conviction is so strong, I kind of don't care what anyone thinks. And I am finding so much more to my thesis just by like studying the company historically, that I feel like this document, I'll put in the chat, could be a living, breathing document. And I can just keep updating this. Like I think I'll get this to 100 pages by the end of the year. There is so much to talk about on this name. And I think long-term it's going to be fine. But I don't think the TA matters here. I think it's just, they need to figure out what the hell they're doing with that cash, and they need to deliver adjusted EBITDA guidance of upwards of 500 million. If they can get to 550, then we're really going to have some fun. But right now they're guiding for 480. They need to really get to 500. I don't think they're going to raise it in Q2. Q3 is when they tend to do the guidance raise. I mean, last time it went from $3 to 570 when they raised their guidance in Q4 of 2020 or Q3 of 2024. So the street really loves that focus on profitability, and that would be important for them to do. Amid study scriptures from 1773 that are connected to Grab. Exactly, bro. Exactly. I'm deep in it, bro. I'm deep in it. Either going to be right or wrong, but I am deep in it. That is an average Tuesday in hymns. Yeah, dude, the hymns shareholders, what was that quote by Batman? He was like born in the dark or something that he was telling Bane, or Bane said he was born in the, like hymns shareholders were born in the volatility. They were born in the volatility. And they just have to embrace it. Well, they have embraced it. They've embraced it pretty well. I was never that deep into Grindr, but I see what you did there. Yeah, hymns can move 10% in a freaking hour, dude. Like it's pretty aggressive. On a Friday night, Grab 17-page thesis, 17 bloats to 58 pages. Dude, dude, it was so funny. So when I on Sunday when I posted the Grab 17-page thesis, someone commented. Let me see if I can find the comment. They commented something pretty funny, and let me see if I can find it. It was okay. Let's see if I can find it here. The thing that the reason it was so funny is because of what they said after. By the way, I'm going to text Steve in a second. He should be there. I sent him the link, so he should be here soon. Okay, where is this comment? I got to find this. I want to show you guys. I want to show you this comment because he messaged me after, and that's why I want to show you guys what he initially said. Palantir 134. Okay, cool. Moving a little bit after ours. Tell us about your ring. Guys, I told you guys about this ring. My grandpa gave it to me. So they came from India. They're still here. They're going to be here till the end of July. And I was always wearing a gold ring, but now this is like I don't even know I think it's a ruby. It's something, I don't know what's in the middle of what stone it is, but it's something real. And my grandpa used to wear this ring a long time ago, but he stopped wearing it, and they kind of like redid it to make it like more modern. And yeah, so I put away the old gold ring, and now I read this one. Again, I'm not a jewelry guy, but I do like rings. For some reason, I've always liked rings. Like, I don't care about a watch or anything like that, but like, I've always liked how kind of rings feel and how they look. Dude, I can't find this comment, but okay. The comment was basically like, oh, here it is. Wait, no, it's not. This freaking comment. The comment was basically like, oh, we're going through like World War III, and this dude's like writing some 15-page thesis on Grab. And then my comment to him was like, well, actually, it's 17 pages. You got it wrong. So I just like, you take the hate and you just kind of like, well, you're actually technically wrong. You don't even feed into it. And then the dude messages me back like 5 hours later on Twitter, and he sends me this long ass paragraph. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be mean. Yada, yada, yada. He's just like apologizing for like the hate that he was putting out there. As I think he called me, I don't know. I'm trying to find the comment to see the exact thing. He might have deleted it. Maybe that's why I can't find it. And it's just funny, right? Because sometimes when people are mean and then you just accept it and you're like, well, actually you're wrong. It's 17 pages, not 15. They start to think to themselves, like, did I need to be that mean for that reason? Like, what was the point of being that mean? And it goes back to the comment we were talking about yesterday. It's just like sometimes, leaving hate comments says more about other people than it does about you. So yeah, I was going to try to show that, but I think he deleted the comment because I can't find it. I saw his profile and he replies to all of your tweets hating. I've never seen this guy in my life. I just like commented on that first post. I was like, well, sir, you're factually wrong. It was 17 pages, not 15. I didn't know he's a constant commenter like that. I think he deleted it, bro. I wanted to see it. Let me see. I can confirm for sure. I'm going to check my replies. I'll confirm for sure. But anyway, yeah. I think it always makes you feel bad, I think, at the end of the day, if you actually genuinely hate so much with no purpose to hate. Okay, where's Steve, bro? Let me call this guy. Let's see if he's on the way. Let's see. I did not buy more hymns. No, did not buy more hymns. Although I have a funny story about hymns that I'll tell you guys in a second.
516.
Okay, so Steve definitely freaking. He said I need 10 minutes. Okay, cool. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Cool. All right, 10 minutes. Wait for him for 10 minutes. Ask Steve if we watched the Lemonade deep dive. Yo, that's you, Jake, right? I think that's Jake. Is that you, Jake? Steve did watch a little bit of your Lemonade deep dive. He's not the biggest fan of Lemonade, so I think he's going to have some counter thoughts when he joins. And then he'll talk more about it. So he will be on. I didn't dock Steve, bro. 516 is, everyone knows 516 is New York. So if you want to guess Steve's number with the area code and then the other 6 digits, be my guest. But I don't think that's going to be the easiest thing to do. I don't have any thoughts on Iran. Have not looked into it yet. No deep dive. But eventually we will do that hopefully next week. I talked this morning about the person from Taiwan that talked about Grab. I talked about this morning. Basically, they just said they used to live in Jersey. They did investment banking. Now they're basically retired. They kind of retired off like Tesla, to be honest. So now they're back in Thailand and they're just like, traveling, all this stuff. Basically, I just asked him, I was like, yo, do you use Grab? And he was like, bro, I use that shit every day. And the most important thing that he said to me was that the other food service company that they used to use, Food Panda, which I already knew about, they left the region. And to me, I'm just like, okay, it's hard for me to ignore that all these other companies that are unidimensional, meaning they either do food delivery or mobility, but they don't have the integrated ecosystem super app that Grab does, are burning so much cash they can't compete, and they're leaving the region. This was the 4th major company that left Thailand. And Grab is just swooping in, taking in all that market share, increasing their margins as a result. And the question just becomes, can they keep doing that for the next decade? And I think the answer is yes, easily. So when he said that, I was just like, all right, so that confirms my thesis that a lot of this stuff is about consolidation. And the more consolidation we get, the better this story is probably going to get, even if it takes time. There are 9 million possible 7-digit numbers. Tanner, did you GPT that? Did you ask GPT how many possible numbers you get? Or did you just multiply it? You probably did some quick math. I would have asked GPT. I would have been like, hey, GPT, how many numbers? But yeah, you would have to try a lot of those. Calculator, but yeah, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, Tanner had a hell of a week, huh? Not only his ETF, but his beloved SoFi. I mean, this thing was stuck at 13 for a while. Now it's at 17. I'm sure his actual portfolio is benefiting. Oh, I found the comment. He deleted it. I knew it. He deleted it. See, this is what I mean about hate comments, bro. When you leave them, you end up feeling bad. And most of the time, you end up asking yourself, why did I even leave that comment? And I was like, sir, it's 17 pages. It's not 15. Where do you see UNH end of year? Dude, UNH could easily go back to 400 in a year. Easily. Now, granted, I don't think that's going to happen. I think like closer to 340, 350 if earnings work out and the DOJ investigation doesn't go into fruition. But this thing could run very quickly, in my opinion. It's doing $22 billion of free cash flow, trading at 11 times earnings. It makes no sense. But if the headlines are negative, this thing could go back down to 270, 280. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. UNH to me, you just buy it and hold it and you don't worry too much. This was the 15th largest company in the United States of America before the drop. And nothing changed in the earnings. It's all been headline driven, which are real reasons for why something can drop. But I don't know if those headlines have to translate into, lack of earnings growth. I did not buy Lemonade. No, I did not buy Lemonade. I hope it does well. I just really don't see what's super exciting about AI insurance, just personally. Like, it's cool. I get it, but it's not the story that I want to be committed to for a while as an investment. I think ASTS was the most interesting one that I've seen so far. Out of all of them, ASTS, Lemonade, and Oscar. Oscar was exciting just looking at their financials, but they're so tied to Medicare that it's going to be a little tricky for them. ASTS, though, I know it's pre-revenue, but ASTS looks like they could have a very, very exciting business model in space over the next decade. Yes, I agree. The Palantir drop was a nothing burger. I agree. I am not buying Tesla until after earnings. I don't know, bro. Would you buy Tesla before earnings? Like, that's a little scary, bro. Like, just like, I don't know. I feel like I would want to wait until after earnings. And then if we get some 270, 280 action again, I would swoop in there. I would get 100 shares and just like be like, all right, I'm buying that dip. I don't think we have to, though, because Elon just freaking tweeted that they're sending vehicles autonomously. Now, granted, that doesn't change the earnings, but still, I think that could get people excited. I think that could get people excited. Poll it. All right, let's ask. Let's ask on the poll. All right. Would you buy Tesla before earnings? Assuming probably this price, round about this price. I don't know. I feel like I just don't know. The stock didn't care last earnings. Yeah, I agree. The stock did not care after last earnings. But then does it have to go up? Because last earnings it was at 220, and so I could understand. All right, it's getting back to like that 300s. Remember, Tesla was at 400 at the beginning of the year, so it's still down year to date. But does Tesla gap up to 370, 380 after earnings? Like, is Elon going to say something that exciting? Because the numbers aren't going to be there, right? Like, unless I'm looking at the numbers wrong, the numbers are going to be pretty freaking bad. So, but then again, it doesn't have to go to 270. It can be flat. Realistically, the last dip chance was the whole Trump Epstein listing, which now we don't even talk about anymore, right? Like, now we don't even care. Like, that happened and we don't care. The news moves so quick. So quick on this. Meli, Adyen, or SoFi till 2030? I think the correct answer is Meli because it's a monster in Latin America. I know SoFi better than Meli's business, so I feel like I would pick SoFi just because I think I understand SoFi a bit better than Mercado Libre. Adyen is an amazing company from the payments perspective. I don't think I would buy them. Speaking of payments, dude, Roy pointed this out yesterday. PayPal is now in the top of the App Store, and I'm not sure why. It was like number 9 in the entire App Store. Not finance, but in the entire app. Yeah, it's number 6. Why is PayPal number 6 in the entire app store? Like, what are they doing that's getting them up that high? Steve said, I will be on by 5:15 latest. I'm going to quick call my lawyers. Bro, this guy's talking to lawyers all day. Like, all he does is talk to lawyers. All right, another 15 minutes, folks. Just stuck with me. Just stuck with me for 15 minutes until he's done with his lawyers. The grab thesis is right here. This is the document. Just save this document. This is the document. You can use that to see. I'm probably going to update it over the weekend. And I'll write some more stuff. All right, Matt, hold on. So can we talk about how you guys are in Mexico? Because I literally, not even I forgot. I completely, it didn't even touch like the back of my subconscious that there was going to be a Mexico trip between you, Chris, and Tevis. And now you're sending me pictures from an Airbnb in Cancun. And I'm like, where is this guy? Like, what is this? And then he tweeted he was in Italy. So I legit thought he was in Italy. I was like, why is this guy in Italy? Like, I didn't ask any questions, but I was like, is it for work or something? Like, why is he in Italy? Look at this. Yeah. Oh, wait. No. Wait. Okay. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Should I embarrass myself right now? Should I embarrass myself right now, guys? Okay. I thought that was the Italian flag because it was red, white, and green. But that's also the Mexican flag, right? I thought it was the Italian flag, bro. I was like, all right, he's in Italy. Oh my gosh. This guy said, when did I tweet I was in Italy? Bro, I saw the flag for a second. I was like, okay, he's in Italy. Wait, what does the Italian flag look like? How am I? Yo, you can't tell me the Italian flag does not look like this emoji. From a bird's eye view, if you just saw that emoji running through a feed on Twitter, just scrolling really quickly, you're telling me this does not look like this? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I thought he was in freaking Italy. I was wondering, I was like, why is this guy in Italy? What is he freaking doing? Like, he didn't even tell us he was in Italy. I was like, what's going on? Apparently it was Mexico. No, I'm not colorblind. That's red, white, and green. That looks exactly where's the Mexico flag? Mexico flag. Yo, you can't tell me these things don't look alike, bro. I know there's a difference in the middle of it, but the Italian flag is kind of bland, though. It's literally just white, green, and red. The Mexico flag has something in the middle of it. That's probably the thing that I should have seen that differentiates. It's definitely close, right? It's definitely close. Yo, the Bezos wedding. That's why Matt was going to Italy. He was going to Venice for the Bezos wedding. That makes sense. Is this what we should expect from National Debater number 3? First of all, it was number 7. It was number 7, but no, you should expect more from this. By the way, I'm going to prove, some people were asking if that was really true, that it was number 7. I'm going to be super nerdy right here and show you guys that it was indeed number 7 right here. So let me put this in. This is going to be super nerdy. This is a freaking debate history website, bro. This is like the nerdiest shit ever. But I have this ready to go in case anyone asks. There you go. Number 7. There's your boy. I should have been in top 5, bro. I beat number 1. I beat Bennett. I beat Varad. I beat Cameron. This Cameron guy was really upset when I beat him at the Atlanta tournament. I beat Neil Kapoor. And then I was number 7. Should have been top 5, though. Should have been freaking top 5. Anyway. Yeah. That's just to confirm. I did lose to the Danish chick. That was internationally, though, but domestically. Yo, Neil Kapoor was mad in the New York City finals, though, or the New York City Invitational, which is like the big New York tournament, because I got to quarters. He lost in doubles. And he was the 1 seed. I was the 2 seed in like a bracket. So we both would have met in finals if we both got there. But he lost in his first round. I lost in like my 4th round or 3rd round. And he was top speaker. I was 2nd speaker. So he did get the top speaker award. But anyway, that's the proof. Nilay says hi from Turkey. Hello. Thank you for being here. And thank you for joining the stream. Hello from Turkey. Anyway, I thought that was freaking, dude, I really thought he was in Italy. Like I saw it for a second scrolling on my phone. I was like, all right, the guy's in Italy. But he's not. All right, so Matt, what are you guys doing tonight in Mexico? What's the first thing you guys are doing tonight? You guys definitely got to go to a club in Cancun. I mean, obviously you're going to go to the beach, that's for sure. But technically the Italian green is lighter than Mexico. That is true. That is fair. You know, this doesn't look good for me given my rants that I went on this week about language learning. And now I'm confusing the Mexican flag with a European country. It's looking pretty racist for me, bro. It's looking pretty racist. Trump just said, I will appoint someone as Fed chair who wants to cut rates. Bro, no, if he puts Bessent as the freaking Fed chair, that's gonna be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Is Steve going to move out of socialist New York? I don't think so. You know, one thing that's important about the New York thing is that there's 9 million residents and only 1 million voted in the primary. So there are still going to be 8 million people, I mean, theoretically, that have the ability to vote in the general. So there could be 8 million people that hate Mamdani and that want something more moderate. But for all intended purposes, the primaries tend to elect the general. And so seems like he's going to be the mayor of New York. It really does. I don't think Eric Adams, first of all, we don't know if Cuomo's going to run, but Eric Adams, dude, that guy's not inspiring. I listened to him the other day. I was like, this guy's boring as shit, bro. He cannot get people to feel the passion that Mamdani does. Even if you disagree with Mamdani politically, like he can really speak. Please ask Steve for the dividend formula. I have everything else. Yeah, I'll ask Steve about it, and I will make a general. I will get a general ETF sheet for everyone who wants to track the ETFs the way we're doing it from Steve, and I'll put it out there for everyone to see. So probably over the weekend, I'll get Steve to give me like his general template that he used for the ETFs, and we'll open source it to everybody. Roblox is over 100. That one has done very well over the past couple of years. The crazy thing about Roblox is they have half the watch time of Netflix in game time daily. So, dude, I have never used Roblox. I've never played Roblox. I can't believe these many kids use it every single day, but it's one of those tech products that just gets so many people, so many kids that are just hooked onto it. And I just like, I don't know. I've never been a video game guy, bro. Like I did play Grand Theft Auto Vice City. That was the one Grand Theft Auto I played. But outside of that, I've never been a video game guy. I don't think big money is going to allow it. Too many people upset like Ackman. I don't think big money can do anything about Mamdani. I don't think they can. He has captured people's attention in a fundamentally different way. And it is pretty hard, even if you've got, I mean, dude, Bill Ackman gave Cuomo like $2 million. Like Cuomo was just sucked as, that's why Kamala raised 1.5 billion. She couldn't do shit. Like she it was the most embarrassing election loss ever for her because she didn't talk to Joe Rogan. She didn't, do a podcast with people that didn't only talk about sex, like Call Her Daddy. Like you got to diversify your audience and talk to other people. And she just refused. And like, she didn't get people's attention. Mamdani will talk to anybody. And he'll talk to people that, violently disagree with him. And he will be calm. He'll be cool. He'll be collected. And he will, play his point. So I do think he really does remind me of Obama, bro. Just like, if any of you guys haven't seen his interviews, you should watch it. Just see how there's a certain level of how he just gets people to feel the sort of empathy that he's trying to show. Again, it's coming from a more progressive perspective, but he also barely stutters. Like he's just a very eloquent speaker. And I think he's getting people to really buy into what he's doing. Pouncer got rebalanced. That's why it was down today. That's why it was down today. What do you think about Aurora Innovation? I have not looked at this ever. AUR. I'll put it on the list. $10 billion market cap. I feel like I've seen this ticker a while ago. AUR. Yeah, I would have to do some research on this one. I have no idea the thesis on this one. But I'll take a look at it. I'll put it on the list. See if we can get some information there as well. The When Rogan podcast. Dude, that would be crazy if I could get on Rogan. Realistically, it would be if I could interview Rogan, not if he could interview me. But who knows, bro? You never know. There's this quote, right? You're always a couple degrees of separation from someone. And there's always a shot, but you just have to get your connection straight to see if there's a chance. But Rogan does a lot of interviews. Like he allows other people to interview him. It's just a question of, finding ways to get through different people that know the other people. Maybe Elon. I'm not that cool with Elon, bro. Not that cool with Elon yet. At least I know he's seen me before because he reposted my video, but I don't think he cares about me yet. How do you feel about Archer? I just feel like it's a lot of talk and no execution on Archer. It's already 3x, so I think if you're buying here, you are buying not when everyone hated it. You're buying it now when everyone likes it at $10. I know they have a good backlog, but I want to see them actually put out the eVTOL because they haven't done it, and it's been a long time. So until I see that, it's a startup that's public, dude. And it was a SPAC that was a crappy SPAC. So to me, it's like there's a lot of other opportunities that are like easier to just invest and sleep well at night. Not saying it's a bad company, not saying they can't execute. I just where's the eVTOL? Where is it? And then why should I invest in that over NVIDIA right now? Why is that taking up capital over NVIDIA? Or Google? So to me, it's not that exciting. How do you feel about it being a Brett company? Well, Brett's not there anymore. He left, so I think it's hard to judge the company that now that Brett's not there because whatever he's doing at Figure is not, doesn't have an impact on Archer. But yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I've met the founder. I've spoken to him. They're using Palantir software. I'm just like, I want to see some level of earnings before being all right, this is something that could be big. But again, I think it's a good company. I don't think it's a scam or anything. I would like to see some more of that progress into the real world as well. All right, folks, after all the waiting, you guys have had to put up with me. He's already smiling in the background because he knows what I'm going to say. After all the waiting, putting up with my stories, me talking about my debate past, me talking about not understanding the Italian flag versus the Mexico flag. After all of that, we need an intro for this guy, bro. We need a Jason level intro for this guy. Something to do with milk, something to do with chicken parm, something. Yeah, maybe here comes the milkman. Maybe that's got to be the saying of this intro. He's laughing his ass off in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason you subscribe to this channel, here he is, Mr. Steven Fiorillo.
You're pretty ridiculous. You know that, right?
What'd you say?
You're pretty ridiculous.
Dude, I'm not ridiculous. This is the sentiment of the channel. This is just, it is what it is, bro. Everyone loves you. Why are you on the phone with lawyers all day, bro?
Because that's what I do.
But isn't that boring?
No.
You enjoy talking to lawyers, bro?
I have a very dynamic job.
Oh, I know you do. I'm just saying, it's lawyers all day.
I gotta get shit done. Gotta go through legal, get shit done.
That's true. That is true. Milk in the bag, dude. Milkman. That's you get it.
Dude, I got my yogurt right here.
Oh, there he goes. There's the yogurt. There it is.
I just haven't opened it yet.
What'd you have for lunch today?
So I was gonna get a chicken parm, but I had 3 meetings with outside people in the afternoon. And I was like, God forbid something drips. I end up just getting a sandwich.
You were afraid you would get a stain on your clothes?
Potentially, even though I have backup jackets and stuff, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I was like, you know what, just in case, we'll just get a boring sandwich and I'll do something tonight.
Okay. Well, everyone is happy you are here. We got a lot to talk about. Definitely going to touch on the deep dive I did last night. Curious about your thoughts on that. But before we get into that, S&P 500 all-time highs. What are your thoughts on this current state of the market?
Not surprised.
Why?
Where else are you going to put money?
That's a good point.
I mean, that's been my common theme, right? Where else are you going to put money? Housing is too expensive. People are not investing in real estate the way that they used to. Or at least, let me rephrase that. People that are starting out are not investing in real estate the way that they used to. And people aren't able to come up with the down payment to buy rental properties. It's people who have rental properties that they can leverage. So where else are you going to invest to try and make money? Money markets?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Were you surprised by the NVIDIA rally this week?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I think we're all surprised, but it's also like we kind of knew eventually this was going to play out. 3.84 trillion on NVIDIA. It's $3 away, Steve, from being the first $4 trillion company.
It's going to be the first $5 trillion company.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question for the chat. Do you guys think there's any ticker in the next whatever time frame that outpaces NVIDIA to get to 5 trillion? It's not Apple. It's not Google or Amazon. It's probably not Tesla. It could be Microsoft, maybe, but
what I will say is NVIDIA is going to be the first $5 trillion company, and Amazon has the potential to be the first $10 trillion company.
Do you think Amazon would hit 10 before NVIDIA hits 10?
I think it could. I think Amazon's going to have a lot of growth over the next 5 years that could drive it.
We got, some people saying Hims could get there. So, there's also some people saying Palantir. Steve, we had a little bit of a sell-off today on Palantir.
Good. Palantir to zero.
Okay. Do you know why it sold off? Okay, so apparently there was a Russell rebalancing happening today. And that got a ton of ETFs that had to sell Palantir, basically.
Huh?
So it's not anything fundamental. It's just, rebalancing. But that's kind of the main reasons it was down today, 7%. NVIDIA right here, 157. SoFi, 17. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, good thing I didn't rewrite cover calls this week.
Are you changing your tone a little bit on, all right, these guys can figure it out by the end of the year?
I mean, they're still a bank.
That's fair. I get you. But rate cuts, crypto coming back.
Rate cuts are going to be bullish for them. Crypto coming back will be bullish. Look, this is a very well-run company. It's just they're not a tech company. And that's fine. They don't have to be a tech company. I am interested in seeing what they're able to pull off with the AWS fintech. And I want to see if Noto misspoke on Mad Money because I don't understand how they're going to do settlements in Bitcoin. But that's besides the point.
Do you think 20 end of year is crazy to assume? Or
no, listen, I don't think 25 end of year is crazy to assume if they're able to provide a cross-border payment solution. I don't think people understand the opportunity for a company that can pull that off. The SWIFT banking network is archaic and horrible, and it is such a value add to have a better system in place, and it is a tremendous earnings opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of your thesis on XRP to an extent as well.
And Solana.
And Solana. Yep. Okay, so we have a bunch of other stocks that I want to talk about, but I think let's get into the discussion from last night because I know you had some opinions on it.
Yeah, so real quick, just listen to this. 11,000 institutions across 200 plus countries and territories utilize the SWIFT banking network. It produces over 42 million financial messages daily. It handles 50% of all high-value cross-border payments with transaction values exceeding $5 trillion. not billion, $5 trillion daily. Okay. Whoever cracks that code, and remember, if you want to send money to somebody in Japan or somebody in Germany, you can't just freaking send it to them without fees. It goes through several intermediary banks. Everybody takes a cut. That's why wire transfers have a fee. And it takes several days of remittance to settle. So fixing that and creating a better solution that happens instantaneously or within 5 or 10 seconds is the use case for that was one of the original things with Web3 technology and why people really went all crazy with the prospects for a new financial system.
You think SoFi could play a role there?
Listen, in all seriousness, if SoFi can come out with their own stablecoin that has the liquidity and utilize the rails with Galileo as the payment network, they have an opportunity to be a player in that without a question.
Yeah.
So this is ripe, especially business is not single national. It's multinational, cross-border, cross-continent. And there are many multinational companies that operate in the US, not to mention the biggest companies in the market. If you can crack the code and make things frictionless and cost less to get your financial transactions done, the Swift banking network will unravel and you will have a new financial system emerge. My bets have always been Solana and XRP on this because I understand the utility behind them. So we'll see what happens. SoFi can definitely do something exciting with that. So I'm starting to get more excited now.
Do you know where Matt is right now?
Where Matt is?
Yeah. Do you know?
Matt Money?
Matt Money.
Does that work?
Do you know where Chris is right now?
Sleeping?
Do you know where Tevis is?
Oh, did they go to Mexico today?
Dude, how did we not know? Chris called both of us last night. He did not tell us he was going to Mexico in the morning.
Well, they told us they were going to Mexico. I just didn't know what day they were going.
Yeah, but you forgot like that. You didn't think it was now. I thought it was end of July, but
no, they said no. They said end of June. I said no because I have a lot of board meetings and stuff.
Well, I totally forgot. But yeah, Matt in the group chat, he texted his Airbnb pictures. He's in freaking Cancun right now.
Good for them.
Yeah, it's great for them. I don't want to go.
They don't get taken.
Why would you say that? What do you mean? I hope they don't get taken. Why are you being negative? You think they're gonna
I'm not being negative. I'm saying I hope they don't get taken.
Taken by who?
Liam Nielsen's not coming after them.
I think they're in the safe part of Mexico. I think.
Hopefully.
Hope. Have you ever been to Mexico?
Nope.
Do you want to go to Mexico?
Nope.
Oh, cartels. That's who would take them. Yeah, cartels.
I live in the greatest country in the world.
No, I know. I agree with you. It's the greatest country in the world. Okay, so you listened to some of the Lemonade deep dive last night.
I listened to 4 minutes of it before I wanted to throw up.
Okay. What was your issue with them pitching Lemonade?
Where do we start? First, I drink iced tea.
Okay, that was my joke.
And if I want lemonade, I have an Arnold Palmer because lemonade on its own is just too bitter and sweet. Like a healthy mix of iced tea and lemonade together is one of the best things you ever drink.
I agree. I've had an Arnold Palmer before.
Yeah, but so one of these days I gotta get you like a real one. So not from a can, but like there's a deli on Long Island that makes the best Arnold Palmers you'll ever have in your life. Knock your freaking face off. It's crazy.
But an actual one comes with alcohol, right?
Well,
that's the one I've had.
John Daly is an alcoholic, lemonade and vodka. Arnold Palmer, you could put alcohol in it.
Okay, but you don't have to. Yeah,
you don't have to.
Gotcha. Okay, so what's wrong with lemonade? What's the issue?
All right. My issue is around the numbers. The numbers don't work. So you have a company in lemonade that is doing $526 million in revenue at the end of last fiscal year. Okay. When I look at the quarterly numbers, it's not really growing. I mean, the growth is insignificant quarter over quarter. So Q3 was 136 million, Q4 was 148. I mean, it grew $11 million quarter over quarter on revenue to close the year. I mean, it's just not exciting because their operating income is negative every quarter because their policy benefits, their operating expenses from general and admin outstrip the revenue they're producing. And sure, it can be a young company and whatnot, but they have these exclusions that add to it, and it's never turned a profit from what I can say. And when you're doing that little, and you have other companies like Oscar and that are young companies that are generating so much more revenue, they're profitable. I'm not buying into this. Balance sheet isn't anything to go crazy about. They got 300 million in cash. Their total investments is 676 million. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing that their business is generating anything to really, for me to get excited about. And the freaking cash flow statement, they don't even generate positive cash flow from operations. Not free cash flow, cash flow. They've generated positive cash flow in 2 out of the past 12 quarters. And on an annualized basis, they've never been free cash flow positive.
What about the AI thing?
Oh, so you want to tell me that they're going to crack the code on AI when no other insurance company can?
Well, that's their thesis. That's
you think. Listen, I promise you, Aetna, Cigna, United Health, any of these companies spend more on AI and IT than what Lemonade does in revenue in like a month.
I don't, you're probably not wrong on that. But their argument is that their legacy, they're bloated. They're not going to be able to, meaningfully, intrinsically build an AI native company.
Sure. United Health spends on a quarterly basis, okay, $13.5 billion on general admin expenses. How much of that do you think is IT?
No, it's probably a good amount.
At least $1 billion or $2 billion, and that's in a quarter.
Yeah, and the other thing is these insurance companies, we know Palantir works with UNH, they can adopt operating systems that ontologically transform their companies. The Lemonade thesis last night was that Lemonade's already done that, and that to me is just not the most exciting reason to invest.
So if they've already done that, then it's scary that if they've already done it, that they're producing this little in everything and not profitable. That's the problem. Any of these big companies, like you just said, can call Palantir, go through a boot camp, have everything deployed, and completely overhaul everything and significantly pump up their AI underwriting business to become more efficient. This is not something that's going to be proprietary to Lemonade.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's the part I had. That's what I wasn't getting really from the deep dive. It's what exactly is they do this and only they can do this, and it's they're running away. Yeah, I mean, they said that you can get a claim in a couple seconds on Lemonade.
How is that different than any other freaking thing? I can submit a claim on my insurance company immediately.
Yeah.
Every good insurance company has a full-blown app that you can submit a claim through.
Maybe the legacy ones take a little bit more time for a quote, but still.
A quote? I mean, dude, let me phrase this correctly. My preference, I'm not going to give advice. My preference is to use a broker, okay, for auto insurance. If you don't use a broker, you can get a quote online from Progressive or State Farm or any of these places pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In a matter of a couple of minutes, when you figure out all the questions that you got to fill out, after you do it, their underwriting process is pretty instantaneous. It takes a couple of minutes to get a quote through everything. It's just that there's no moat around what Lemonade is doing.
Now, it is a $3 billion company, and that could technically move faster than a UNH, but I feel you.
Great,
Yeah.
but are people really going to use Lemonade? It doesn't look like it from their revenue. Not saying that they can't keep growing or they're not going to eventually turn profitable. What I'm saying is I don't think they're going to disrupt the current industry. There's nothing proprietary about what they're doing to disrupt the industry. And there's nothing they're doing that can't be replicated by anybody else.
Yeah, I just didn't see what was exciting about it yesterday. And that's why I asked the last question was like, why is there such a cult around this stock? And I don't know. There wasn't the answer was just like everyone thinks this is like Tesla that lost a lot of money for years and then went exponential.
Well, think about Oscar. When I wrote that article about Oscar, they were trading at 7 times 2027 earnings. They're already profitable and they were being undervalued. They were trading at less than 20 times 2025 earnings. They're a company that's doing 870 billion. I'm sorry, I have it on quarterly. They were doing 1.22 billion in free cash flow. You know what I mean? Like they were over $1 billion in free cash flow, and the market cap was like 3 billion or 3.5 billion when I wrote that article. So you were getting a huge value proposition there. If Lemonade had a half a billion or $1 billion in free cash flow, completely different story.
Yeah.
They're not free cash flow positive.
Well, that's why Oscar retail found a gem there because the numbers really look good.
Right. They still are.
They still are, even at 2021. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you about this. So how do you feel about Oscar being the world's only B Corp certified public company? They're a public benefit corporation. And from my understanding, a public benefit corporation is something that doesn't only just have an obligation to shareholders, but rather does something good. Do you like that about Lemonade?
Yeah, I think that, listen, anytime that companies can not only benefit their clients, but also benefit society is a good thing.
Okay, but like, does that tell you something about the culture of the company by any sense? Or
yeah, I mean, it has a good underpinning culture. Does it move into the investment case? I don't know, but I'd rather them have this than not have it. This doesn't hurt them.
I don't like it. I want my companies to make me money. I don't give a fuck about the rest. I mean, like,
yeah, Oscar's making over $1 billion. Make money.
If I'm investing in your stock, your obligation is to get me a return on that. I don't care about this public benefit. Let me help the rest of the world if I want to help them. But
you can do both.
Yeah, you can. I'm just like to be a legal entity that has to help the world. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
you can do both.
Go be a nonprofit then. Like, dude, I want my profit. Like, that's what I care about. No, in all seriousness, I'm trolling a little bit, but like,
no, I don't see the investment case with Oscar. There is nothing in the numbers. I'm sorry, with Lemonade. There's nothing in the numbers to show that it's undervalued at these levels, or it can even become profitable anytime soon, or that it has the potential to become a disruptor. I'm sorry, but the numbers aren't there. Oscar's doing over 10 billion in revenue.
Yeah, I mean,
they have a clear trend of what they're taking in on the premiums that's outstripping the policy benefits, which is critical.
The other thing I didn't like is that one of the big things one of the guys focused on is pet insurance as like one of their big growth vectors. And I'm just like, how big can pet insurance really be? Like, that's one of the first things you see on their website. Renters, homeowners, car, pet, life. I mean, I know life insurance is a big deal, but
pets are a huge industry. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a nothing burger. Like, pets are a huge thing, but how big that can get, I don't know.
Well, Google's saying it's a 15
problem
billion.
with Lemonade versus Oscar, the real problem for me, Lemonade has a good ratio of premium and annuity revenue coming into policy benefits being spent. But their general admin expenses are so expensive and they continue to grow that it puts them at negative operating. That's the big problem with Lemonade.
You guys saying pet insurance is huge. I don't have enough experience with that industry, but that to me was not like I wouldn't buy Lemonade for their pet insurance growth. You know, like that's my issue with it.
Like, can I show the numbers real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So when you look at Oscar and the TTM, their premium and annuities have brought in 9.87 billion. Okay. Total revenue just over 10 billion. Their policy benefits are only 8 billion. So there's a huge differential there. And their selling and admin are 1.84, which is still leaving them 168 million in operating income.
Right.
Now, on the free cash flow, completely different. They're generating a ton more free cash flow because their cash from operations is 1.22 billion. You go to Lemonade, their policy premium is 390 million. So Oscar's doing almost 10 billion in policy premiums and Lemonade's doing 390 million. And you want me to get excited about that? No, not getting excited. Is there a good spread between policy benefits? Sure. But how about this? Selling and general admin expenses, look how much more they're spending in that versus the policy benefits that are getting paid out.
That's pretty aggressive.
Like, that's so aggressive. Like, how much freaking marketing are they doing? So with Oscar, they were doing 8 billion in policy benefits and their selling in general was 1.8. Just, you can't, and that's what makes
hold on.
worried.
Nate said Oscar's limited because of the ACA though, which is a fair point, right?
Don't care.
Why?
That's not my problem.
Do you
when
think
I'm looking at the numbers, if your operating expenses are continuing to go up and your policy benefits are continuing to go up, and they are both creating a situation where the combination outstrips the premiums that you're generating, it's going to be very hard to be profitable in the future because you're having to spend more and more. Like, their selling and general admin is more than the premium annuity that they're bringing in. Think about that. So that's what they're doing to run the business.
But is that just right now and in the future that's going to be not
maybe it can be right now, maybe, but this is a company that's been operating since 2017 at the very minimum. They're not a young company.
That's fair.
That's a pretty mature company. That's a very big red flag that their selling and general admin expenses is larger than their premiums and annuity revenue. Okay. You go back to Oscar, nowhere freaking near it. It's costing them 1.84 billion in general admin expenses, and they're doing 9.87 billion in premium and annuity revenue. There is nothing about Lemonade to get excited about.
Well, okay. So what if Lemonade starts growing top line like 50%? Then you would say,
sure, if they start growing by 50%, and if they can continuously do that and grow into a big company, sure, you get excited about that. But right now, the numbers are lopsided. It's just when you go through the financials, it doesn't seem like there's much there.
Okay. That is Steve's take on Lemonade. Pet insurance isn't a moat, though. Every man and their dog. Yeah, I mean,
everybody can do pet insurance, though. Everything that Lemonade can do, everybody else can do. There's nothing proprietary.
Well, why do you think this thing's up 150%?
Who knows? It's momentum. At some point, that can fade. Look at the initial run. The initial run got faded tremendously in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, just like if the whole thesis is AI insurance, I'd rather buy NVIDIA. If I'm investing because of AI, I would rather buy NVIDIA, which is more synonymous with AI.
It's just
that's a fair point. It's a fair point. AGNC. So one of my friends, Triple V, he's part of the channel, he bought a lot of this, not because of you, but he actually bought it the same day your article came out. So it was funny because you both kind of liked it. He bought it for the dividend. Anything exciting you're seeing here in terms of this REIT?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've owned AGNC for a while. I just let it reinvest the dividends every month. I mean, it's one of those plays where if you just sit there and do nothing, it's going to do okay. Don't worry about the share price. It's a huge compounding monster with the dividends being reinvested over time. And with rate cuts coming, there's a lot of things to get excited about in this if the housing market gets unlocked.
Is this a commercial real estate?
It's an M REIT.
Okay.
They do mortgages, all that stuff. It's not a commercial real estate play.
Are you all worried about their debt or no?
No.
And the reason you're not that worried is because these REITs all have a ton of debt, right? They all like have to use debt to be able to finance their operations.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
All right. NVDY, that was another article that you wrote about today. Yield max on NVIDIA. By the way, Steve's Robinhood article. Look at that editor's pick. That one, people
wrote that at the right time, right?
Wrote that at the right time. That's correct. You still believe in the whole yield max thesis we were talking about a while ago?
Yeah, I actually put my share position in there and showed the metrics, but I'll give you a real-time update after today. Let me go to my spreadsheet.
You purchased. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did a starter position with 500 shares on it. And in the first month, I generated $336.05 on the distribution, which was 4.35% of my position in a month. And I'm currently up 12.4% on the investment in like a month and a half because somehow this fund is up 8% since I bought it.
NVIDIA's done well.
Yeah, and that's my thesis behind it. Like, it's averaged $1.22 per month over the past 12 months on the distribution. At that point, I should be able to suck 100% of my liquidity out inside of 13 months. So, okay, do I really care if the share price goes to 10? If I've generated the entire position already in cash? No, because then I have a zero cost basis. I have a free asset that's generating reoccurring income every month. So I could care less about price fluctuation. And there's enough data on it now for me to change my mind because it came out in 2023 that it can continue doing this. And I think I bought it close to the bottom because I think it's going to benefit over time because I think NVIDIA is going to do really well.
You guys could sell covered calls on it. I know people are asking, but there's not really that much premium in selling.
Not a reason to. And I actually think for me, once my call options on NVIDIA are done, I may not write calls on NVIDIA anymore. I may just add more money to this because why deal with it? This allows you to generate income from it without having to watch the options market, without having to continuously have to roll if something gets away from you, and you just don't need to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's a much more efficient way of generating income.
That's fair. Draft update. So, what position do you think you're in before I tell you?
No, I'm in.
Oh, you see it already? You already have it?
I looked at it earlier. I don't know where I am at the end of the day, but I think I was in fourth or third.
No, I think you're there. So Matt's at 12, Tanner's at 6, you're at 2.
Third.
You're third. I'm last. Chris is 1.6. I'm 1.5.
Yeah, look at my portfolio though. Without HIMS, everybody thought I was crazy with my picks. Netflix up 8%, Salesforce up 3.5%, freaking Broadcom up almost 7%. Everything is up except for that one position.
And HIMS, I mean, look, we're talking about a year out. I think that's not going to be stuck at $40 per year. So I think you should be fine on that.
Like you have 4 positions in the red. Matt's got 3 positions in the red. Tanner's got 2 positions in the red, and Chris has 3 positions in the red.
So you feel pretty comfortable with your picks so far?
Yeah, I mean, I like them. I mean, look, you could have never known that the HIMS news was going to come out, right? You couldn't have known that.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I'm not a shareholder, so I didn't really look at it. And quite honestly, I didn't even really want HIMS. I just bought it I took it because I thought somebody would really want it and they'd deal me something I wanted for it.
I'll give you Apple for him.
I mean, I was trying to trade hymns freaking that night at least 4 times to people. So
okay, so you don't really care about Novo or any of that stuff.
no, it's not something I care about.
Dude, why do you think Duolingo's down 20% this week?
I don't really follow that company. I don't know.
So, okay, let me ask you another question. If you were a curriculum director for public schools in the United States,
Yep.
and you had to pick between kids learning language for 4 years in high school or the stock market,
Stock market.
it's like not even a question, right?
No, it's not even a fucking question.
I've been on a
Zero reason. You want to know why? Guess what? In a couple of years from now, nobody's going to need to learn languages because everything's going to translate instantly for you. Just saying.
and maybe Duolingo plays a role in that. But the point is, you kind of don't need like A, there's the AI thesis. B,
financial literacy is so much more important.
Yes. Like you need to know English in corporate America to survive. That's important, but you don't need to know Spanish or French. You just don't. Like we got to be honest. And the idea that kids are stuck for 4 years learning Spanish over the stock market.
Well, look, French, no, there's no reason to know that. But if you're running a company that is multinational, or you're running a company that's in the service industry, or there's a need for it to know Spanish.
No, there's not. So Meta's the most multinational corporation. Does Zucks know how to speak Spanish?
The vendors that I utilize, there's definitely a benefit to knowing it than not.
I'm not saying there's not a benefit. There's always a benefit to if I knew 7 languages, there would be some benefits in life, but that cannot be prioritized over financial literacy.
No, listen, financial literacy, we could go down a huge rabbit hole because I have a huge issue with the entire education system. And I think that math is horrible to the degree that they make kids learn it. There's no reason to learn algebra. There's no reason to learn freaking half that stuff that they try to teach. And there's no reason to learn chemistry unless you want to go into biomechanics or something. And they need to overhaul the whole education system and have a focus on financial literacy. People should understand the drastic downside of taking on huge amounts of debt for college if you are going to get a degree in liberal arts. Like, why would you go to a college like Brown? I'm just making an example. Go to Brown, get a liberal arts degree, come out and make 60 grand a year and have 200 grand student debt. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense. Now, I would say that learning math is important because it gets you to learn how to think about the world. But some of the other extracurriculars are just not that important.
There is learning math, and there is learning math that you're never going to use when you get outside of school.
Yeah, but from a curriculum perspective, it's hard to learn math without learning about geometry and trigonometry and algebra and calculus. Like
you do not need. So hold on.
I agree with you. You don't. But like,
hold on.
It's a baseline.
Hold on.
Foundation.
How many people, like how many professions? Okay, do you actually need trig? You don't even need trig in accounting.
Okay, but learning the foundations of that helps.
You don't need it. There's no use case for it except wasting time.
No. Okay. There's definitely a use case to learning how to think mathematically, and that helps you.
You can learn how to think mathematically without trig or any of that stuff.
I don't know how that's possible. In a structured curriculum, I think you have to learn.
We need to change the curriculum. We need to be thinking more about finance. You need to know about credit. You need to know about debt. Learning about debt is one of the most important things that we could arm young adults with. Yet we don't do it. And it is a sin. And the whole system should be changed.
So I agree with you. My contention this whole week, I went on this whole rant, and I think someone who owned Duolingo saw it, and maybe they dumped Duolingo because I can't think of the other reason why it's down. But if a school had to pick between language or financial literacy, let's say they can't pick between math, chemistry, like that stuff you have to. But if it's a curricular, I mean, get rid of language, bro. Like
100%. And I'm sorry, but these colleges are not in the business of teaching. They're in the business of making money. And that needs to change. I'm sorry, but when I was going to college, I remember what the schools around me freaking cost. I have friends now that are sending their kids to these schools. It's crazy. It is crazy. And there is no reason, in my opinion, for college to be, undergrad to be 4 years. The well-rounded thing is not a thing. Don't make people take art history. Don't make people take a freaking extracurricular thing of freaking music or move. Like I had a cinema class I had to take because I needed to fulfill some requirement. Like why? Why? It's ridiculous.
No, I agree.
If you're going to go to school to become an accountant, focus on the core. Like, I'm sorry. College should be 2.5 to 3 years, not 4 to 5.
It's all a business. They all milk money out.
It's all a business.
And it's government subsidized, which is the worst.
It's crazy.
I just think my initial point was inside of a school, you have to have certain classes that are like federally, these kids have to learn this stuff. There's only a little bit of wiggle room. The wiggle room is art, music, and I think languages should be part of that wiggle room. I guess you got to maybe keep art and music for the creativity part. So then the next most obvious thing to cut, you're not going to cut chemistry or math or English or social studies. You're going to cut language.
How many people need chemistry?
I agree. Not a lot of people. Most people don't.
How many people need it? How many people need this stuff? I didn't take chem. I dropped out of chem. Actually, I didn't even go. I changed. I shouldn't even say it, but like, I was not the person that you wanted to deal with in high school because I thought the whole thing was stupid. I didn't take chem, didn't take a lot of the courses you typically would have taken, and still graduated. Still did pretty good. Didn't want to waste my time with certain things. And there is no reason for people that are not interested in that stuff to take some of this stuff when we are not making. You want to figure out a way to fit that in, fine. Make people take financial education. Make people have an understanding of, hey, when you get out of high school and you're going to go to college, you're going to end up taking on 40 grand a year, 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year in freaking debt. Think about what that's going to do to you. Do you really want to come out of college owing $600, $700 a month and still accruing interest on it in addition to your regular bills? Like, people need to understand that. Or signing up for a credit card when you're young and having a 22% annualized rate or whatever it is now.
I'll see how you answer this. How do you feel about your potential new city mayor being a socialist?
We'll skip that question.
The reason I asked that is because I think some of the people that voted for that guy, quite frankly, had no idea what college and debt was going to do to their lives. And now, they're struggling at a very sophisticated level. It's like, I agree with you. The lack of financial literacy has probably led people to thinking getting free stuff is now the answer because there's so much wealth inequality because, they feel the system has screwed them over. And to an extent, the system has screwed them over because they didn't teach us any of this shit.
Look, the high school education should be overhauled and financial literacy needs to be a major point of it. There was no financial literacy classes when I went to high school. I don't know what it's like now, but I do not believe that they have a core curriculum around this. Financial literacy should be as important as your social studies or English or science classes.
I agree. And Nate, this argument, just because you keep putting it in all caps, it's not going to make it better. As a kid, when you don't know what you do or you don't like, that's the point of a curriculum, to expose you to different things. I think
you can have chem be an elective. You don't need to be a core.
But financial literacy, if that was a core, because adults that are making the curriculum should know, hey, even if kids don't know what they like or they don't like this shit, they gotta know.
Look, you need 2 years of science to graduate, or at least you did when I went to high school in New York. I took earth science in 9th grade, biology in 10th grade, and dropped out of science after 10th grade. And I freaking did not take chem and I did not take physics.
Yeah. Dude, a lot of people in life want to make money. And a lot of the stuff they teach you in school, being geared towards going to college and getting a job, aka money, is antithetical to actually making money or to operating effectively in business. Like, for example, I did debate, right? I personally think debate should be real big part of the curriculum, but I know, it's a liberal arts thing, so people aren't going to ever consider it that. But communication skills matters way more in business than trigonometry. I agree with you there. But there's some things that we don't teach.
So how about this? We go to college, right? Hofstra University, okay? This was a safe school for many people when I graduated. Hofstra University was a safe school. I just Googled how much the annual tuition is. It's approximately $54,000 a year. That does not include room and board or anything else. 54 grand a year for Hofstra. So that means if you are getting 100% loans on this with no scholarship, you're paying $216,000 for college for what used to be considered a safe school to apply to.
And if your degree is not rooted in anything like STEM, which we don't even know what
Right.
we don't even know what AI is going to do to those jobs, but if it's business management or communications, I mean,
You're better off going to a community college for 2 years, knocking out all the credits, and then transferring to a 4-year school.
I agree. It's a scam.
I mean, I want to know how much like BC is per year.
I will say though, I really enjoyed my 4 years at Rutgers from the social aspect.
I get that, and you will not hear me knock that. Boston College is 70 grand a year.
Yeah.
Okay?
Come on, bro.
Like, so you're coming at 280 grand for a 4-year education. So, I mean, it's just college is nuts, and for people who can afford it, great. But there's a lot of people that come out with Brown 66 grand a year. There's so many colleges out there where people come out. We don't have the student debt problem that we have because colleges make financial sense. If colleges made financial sense, we would not have the financial debt problem that we have.
Kendall says, I'm 28, almost paid off house, working a non-degree job, have 50K in the market. Meanwhile, my girlfriend is 52K in debt to be a CST and will probably be in debt for 10 more years at this rate.
How many stories do you hear like that?
And that's actually a pretty moderate story. 52K in debt is not even as crazy as what it turns out.
Right. What I wonder what the average is.
Oh, student loans are wild, bro. We just give these 18-year-olds hundreds of thousands. We would never give that to someone.
But think about that. They will give anybody hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to go to college, which they may drop out and not even finish. But somebody 18 can't even get a $25,000 or $50,000 loan to start a business. How crazy is that?
I mean, it is one of the most absurd things in this country, dude. That's where some of the European countries have it right. Like, America's education system is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Absolutely. And there's no innovation in America's education system that is like allowing us to make it as privatized as it is. Like, it's just stupid.
It's insane. It's insanity. And the whole system needs to be overhauled. Privatized colleges, I understand why they exist, but they are too expensive. The curriculum is too bloated with stuff that you don't need. And we are not setting up young adults for success. I'm sorry. It's too, even doctors coming out with 200, 300, 400 grand worth of debt. Some of them don't get out of debt until they're 35, 40 years old. Like, we are not setting people up for success. And think about the stress that puts on people.
Yeah. And this argument right here, because education used to have a guaranteed outcome for a job, far less risky than a business, the only education I think that actually is a guaranteed like a real guaranteed outcome has to be in the STEM field. Everything else, there's no guarantee that art history or communications gets you a job. There's zero guarantee that if you have a communications degree you pay $300,000 for, that's better than taking a $50,000 loan from a bank to start a business at 18. Because a business could fail, which means the loan fails. But the idea that 300 grand to learn communications helps you get a job.
Yeah, but guess what? If your business fails, you declare bankruptcy. Guess what's not expungible in freaking bankruptcy court? Student debt.
Yeah. Yep. And outside of bankruptcy, if you actually take an earnest attempt at starting a business and it fails, the life lessons you learn are so much more valuable than college.
I have a vendetta against so many things with the education system, only because I hate seeing and hearing stories about how people come out and they can't make ends meet. I hate it. I think it's horrible. And I hate the fact that these colleges have been set up to become businesses, and we are still operating under the idea that everybody needs to be well-rounded and they need to have the exposure to this and exposure to that. No, they don't. They don't even need exposure like that because you want a big staff and you want these things on campus.
Do you think colleges are trying to generalize for someone who is not going to be that much of an outlier in terms of they're going to take risks, they're going to go try different things, like, because not everyone is going to be out there trying to like do something and like build something new, right? So you kind of need to generalize.
I think that we need to focus on the things that matter versus the things that don't matter with the education system. And if we were to sit here and go through a full 128 credit curriculum, I bet you we find 40 to 50 credits that are not applicable to anything you're going to do.
Bro, I want to see if I can find, I definitely have a picture of my college curriculum from like junior year. I have to have a screenshot. I could definitely show you some stupid classes I was taking that made no sense. Let me see if I can search it. And the iPhone has a good search now for the photos. Because I agree, dude. Some classes I was taking were just idiotic. Oh, here, I got one. This is October 15th, 2019. All right, here we go. So, okay, you guys, I'm reading off this. You guys can't see it though. Persuasive communication from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Managing growing ventures from 12:30 to 1:30 on Monday. Nothing else for the rest of the day. So 2 classes, boom, I'm done. Tuesday, first class at 6:30, negotiations, which to an extent was a valuable class. I don't think that was a horrible class. But you know, I don't know if that was the most life-changing class. And then Thursday, persuasive communications, managing growing ventures, and then Friday, public speaking. Which, look, I did debate, and so I think public speaking is important, but I did debate, so it wasn't like the biggest thing for me. But yeah, these were not the most important classes to take. They just weren't. Like managing growing ventures. Like, what is that? Like, how do you manage a growing venture? Like, you're not like, how do you teach someone how to manage a venture that is growing? You haven't grown a venture, which means you're not going to run into the challenges of what it means to manage it. Yes, yapping from 3 to 4. That is basically what I do all day now. Mike says, I'm an academic career advisor, and I know that young adults will explore many trades. You're going to find a lot of useless credits that does not go towards what they end up doing. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so anything else in the market that got you excited today, Steve?
I don't know what happened. I didn't look at anything today.
I'm
just excited overall. I mean, I think that you're going to have a good Q2. I think we're going to get rate cuts soon. And I think we are going to see S&P 6,500 to 7,000 this year.
You know, you did call the first 7,000 that I heard last year. And I don't think you've really wavered from that.
I'm not wavering from it.
So you think there's a shot we see 7,000?
Yeah. What's the reason that we don't?
Well, I'm bullish. I don't know if I'm that bullish to 7,000. I mean, like, we got to put up earnings growth that is just monumental, I think, to get there. I think 65 is possible, though. I can see that. But I see your point. I mean, your point is...
Yeah, what's the reason that we don't get to 7,000? I mean, all right, maybe we get to 67 or 6,800, but we hit 4830 on the S&P and bounced. I called the low. What's the major headwind right now? There is none. The only headwind is if freaking we go into World War III, which seems like it's going to be avoided. I mean, you had trade wars, you had geopolitical tensions. I mean, we're back at all-time highs.
Did you see what Trump said about Canada?
No.
Okay, I want to show you what he said, and I want to get your first reaction to it. So basically, he said, I'm done negotiating with Canada. I'm going to give them a tariff rate, and they're going to accept it. And I'll let them know in the next 7 days. How do you respond to that?
I need to look more into what the numbers are with Canada.
My response is simple, bro. My response is he's negotiating right here.
Obviously.
Yeah, he's not like the market dipped at 140 when he tweeted this because
I mean, some would say that he outsmarted everybody else during the whole trade war thing. So
all I know is Baron Trump probably got the richest out of all of us.
100%.
Because he must have bought so much but to Trump's credit, he said, now looks like a great time to buy. He
told everybody to freaking buy stocks.
He told us. He literally told us. So even if his sons had some fun, I mean, all of us knew as well.
I mean, look, the bottom line is earnings have been expanding. And we're going into Q2, and it seems like we're going to have a face ripper rally. Financials are most likely going to do really well. And we are going to be in a situation where big tech continues to expand. CapEx spending is not slowing down. So we're not in a high inflation environment. There's no reason to keep rates where they are. The Fed is likely going to cut 2 times. Morgan Stanley's calling for 6 or 7 cuts by the end of next year now. So, I don't know. I think 7,000 could happen still this year.
And if it does, that would be...
I mean, we're at what, 6150?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be pretty cool.
You're telling me during this earnings season we can't get to 6,300 if the Mag 7 do well?
I agree.
Was that 3 good days in the S&P? No, but seriously, think about it. Was that 3 good days? Good day being 50 points? You know?
The thing is, this market we all thought 2025 would be good. Then we had Liberation Day. It went down. Everyone thought there's some structural problem, but there was no structural problem. There was
None. And then what happens when the Fed cuts and you have $7.4 trillion on the sidelines? Where's that money going? There's nowhere else to put the money but in the market.
Yeah, I think J Powell knows that as well. So he knows when he cuts, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, where else are you going to put it?
Where else are you going to put it? There's nowhere else to put it.
Yeah.
You got forced buying every 2 weeks.
No.
I would not be short the market right now. Not with this momentum.
No, not at all. Not at all. And you got hedge funds that got to come back in. That should be on the side. A lot of people waiting to buy a house as well. Yep, that is also there. And so the momentum absolutely is strong. All right, I think we're ending it out there. What did you or what plans do you have for the weekend, Steve?
Working.
Articles or actual work?
No, both. I mean, I got a lot of stuff that I need to get done for work for Monday, and I'll probably try to write 2 or 3 articles.
What are you getting for dinner tonight?
My wife just told me she's going to Starbucks right now.
That's not dinner, though.
No, I know, so I don't know. Oh, can we bring? I'm sorry. I'm glad I didn't ask you this on Twitter. Can you bring up data-driven investing's thing where he asked you something? I want to know if you know where this picture is from.
He asked me something today?
No, it was the other day. I'll bring it up. Hold on.
Yeah, you bring it up. I'll share. What are you guys eating for dinner tonight? Put it in the chat. It's a Friday night, last day of Q2, or second to last day of Q2.
I mean, we may have to get a chicken parm from somewhere other than Patsy's.
Dude, you love chicken parms. Like
chicken parm is great.
Yeah, but don't you get tired of it at some point? Like,
no.
Every day, or not every day, but every week. Shake Shack, dude. Shake Shack is underrated. You know, there's a public stock, bro. We never talk about that enough.
It's one of Josh Brown's favorite stocks. Do you know where this is from? Do you know what screenshot this is? Or what painting this is? Do you have any idea?
No.
You don't?
No.
I bet you half of your chat knows exactly what this is from.
Where is this from, guys? It's from a movie?
Oh, my God.
What's it from?
Oh, my God.
I don't know this, bro. This can't be a big deal.
I'm so annoyed right now.
Shake Shack's up 4% year to date. 1 year, it's up 57%.
Yeah,
no, where's it from?
Rocky, you need to watch more movies.
From Rocky?
It's not from Rocky.
Where is it from? Where the hell is it from, bro?
Why are you guys saying Rocky? It's not from Rocky.
Predator?
It's from Predator.
What is Predator? Dude, I'm not
What?
Trolling. I'm not sure. What's Predator?
What?
Oh, 1987 movie?
Oh my God.
Who's Carl Weathers?
You did not just say that.
What do you I know who Arnold is. I don't
Dude,
know.
Apollo Creed?
I've never seen Apollo Creed. So.
You don't know who Apollo Creed's not a movie. Apollo Creed is a fictional character.
No, but isn't a Michael B. Jordan in? Oh, that's Creed.
That's Creed. He's his long lost son of the great Apollo Creed.
Who's Kevin Peter Hall? And Sony Landham.
Dude, you need to.
It's not, bro. Like, there's some things I don't know. Okay, like, also, have you seen Aliens? The chat told me about that one the other day. I don't know who Bill Paxton was or Carrie Henn, but apparently they said that's a good one.
Alien was a good one. I mean, the sequel was good.
I gotta sit. Okay, give me a legit movie to watch this weekend. That
I watch Bloodsport.
Bloodsport,
please.
What's
For
that?
the love of God.
1988 is karate movie.
It's one of Van Damme's best movies.
Who's Van Damme?
Oh, you did not just ask who Van Damme is.
No, I've heard of that guy. I've heard of that guy. John Claude Van Damme. I've heard of that. Yeah, I know that guy.
I watched part of it the other night. It's so good.
Why'd you watch part of it again? Just for fun?
Yeah, because it was on Amazon Prime. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to watch part of Bloodsport. And I flipped around to the really good scenes.
Dude, I just never like explore Amazon or Netflix. I never discovered.
Dude, so can you watch like some good 80s movies? Like, you've never seen Roadhouse, right?
I've seen Back to the Future.
It's not a good 80s movie.
What?
No.
Yes, it is.
No,
bro.
it's not.
Is it? No, I'm doing pull
No,
up
it's
the
not.
chat. No, I'm doing pull. Wait, you mean like it's a bad movie? That's what you're gonna argue?
It's not a good 80s movie.
Okay, so you're saying it's bad. So then I'm gonna go.
You want to talk about those types of movies? Go watch The Goonies. Go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Go watch freaking Breakfast Club. Like classics. Like Back to the Future.
Dude, get out of here. Like,
dude, have you ever seen The Goonies?
I've heard of them, but I've never watched them.
Dude, The Goonies is incredible.
Come on, bro. Back to the Future. Like, I actually really, and the second one too. Like, I haven't. What's the one you said? Road something?
Roadhouse.
What is that about?
Oh my God, it's incredible. So incredible.
1989.
Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott.
Okay,
it's incredible. Like you should watch that movie. It's incredible.
75% of the chat said it's not a bad movie.
What?
Back to the Future.
Okay.
It's a good movie, bro. It's a great movie.
Dude,
what about My Fair Lady?
Never actually seen that.
Someone said, Steve, this is your worst take ever. Back to the Future is the best script of all time.
I don't think it's that great of a movie. There's a lot of other, like, go watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles or Midnight Run.
Yeah, these movies aren't like, they don't.
What about Beverly Hills Cop?
No, I've heard of that, but I've never watched it.
Dude. Come on now. Go watch Beverly Hills Cop. Axel Foley. Oh my God.
Who's Judge Reinhold and John Ashton?
You did not just say it.
I know Eddie Murphy.
How dare you?
I know Eddie Murphy.
I don't know. You've never seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, have you?
What? Fast Time what?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
At Ridgemont High? No, 1982.
Dude, have you ever seen Dazed and Confused?
No, I've heard of that. Dazed.
Those are straight cult classics that you must.
Oh, watch. McConaughey, I know him. Affleck. Okay, I'm watching Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused is so amazing. it became, I think it was like 92 it came out. It's not an 80s movie. It became such a cult classic like 20 years later. It's like Rounders in the fact that nobody cared about when it came out, but it grew into a huge cult classic.
Trading Places. Have you seen that?
Train Plays is a good movie.
I'm gonna watch Dazed and Confused. I think
You'll like Dazed and Confused.
What's it about?
Dazed and Confused? It's about the last day of school in Austin, Texas in like 78.
Is that where Matthew McConaughey got his
Party at the Moon Tower.
Did Matthew McConaughey break out from that movie? Or
he didn't break out from it, but his most famous line of all time is from that movie. It's incredible.
All right. Well, I will watch something this weekend.
What about Days of Thunder?
So instead of Mitt's not watching anything, he'll be working on his grab paper and sipping mocktails. Dude, I haven't had some alcohol in a long time. I feel like I should drink this weekend. I haven't drank since early June when I was at DC. I feel like I should.
Oh, dude. Whoever posted that, we're gonna have to figure out a way for you to message me privately. I will be at the East Coast National on August 15th.
As a baseball thing?
It is a baseball card convention at whatchamacallit in Westchester. Did I watch Game of Thrones? Stop it. I read all the books in the Old English dialect before they were even a thing. Song of Fire and Ice? Come on now.
Dude, Game of Thrones is the most overrated freaking show of all time. It is actually insane. The fact that you watch that over Breaking Bad is sad. Like,
okay, I read the actual books before Game of Thrones was even a thought of becoming an HBO show.
I think it's sad that that's fine that you read the books, but Breaking Bad is 1000% a better show than Game of Thrones.
Can you watch freaking like there's so many good things. Like you gotta watch freaking like Out for Justice or Above the Law. Like incredible. They changed martial arts movies for the better in the 80s.
Have you seen Jurassic Park?
Yes. Jurassic Joke, yes.
Is it good?
No.
So I shouldn't watch it.
Don't waste your time. Oh my God, Amit, Point Break. Please. Somebody said Prison Break, and it just reminded me. Point Break, Google this, please. Not the remake, Point Break. This is like, if you don't like this movie, I don't know what to say. It is one of the best 80s movies ever made.
No, 1991, right?
That's 91 Point Break. Feels like an 80s movie.
Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah, Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. What is that
so
about?
Incredible.
I want a real 80s, 90s film that makes me feel like I'm in that era. That's the stuff I like. Ferris Bueller's Day Off felt like I was in there.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay.
Google Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like it will freaking.
Yeah, I got it. I see that one.
Oh, dude, somebody just brought up my favorite movie of all time.
Oh wait, wow. Let me guess. Wait, what's your favorite? I don't think I know this. Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time.
Animal House.
Heat.
Dude, Heat is not good.
Don't do that.
Heat is so trash, bro.
Don't do that.
Dude.
Heat is the greatest movie of all time.
No, it is. You're out of your ass.
No.
You're legitimately the worst take you've had.
No, Heat is the greatest movie of all time. Sorry.
Heat is. You can
It's
maybe put it in the top
amazing.
5. It's not. No, it's not the greatest movie. Inception's better than Heat.
You know what they're looking at? They're looking at us. The LAPD just got made.
That doesn't make it a good movie, bro.
It's incredible, dude.
Line.
The coffee shop scene between Pacino. It's the only movie Pacino and De Niro were in since Godfather 2 together, and they weren't even in the movie of Godfather 2 together. It was incredible. The whole movie, incredible.
Matt said, "Why don't you pick up his phone call?"
No, bullshit. You know why he's saying that? Because I called him today and he didn't fucking pick up. That's why he's saying that.
Oh my god, dude! I didn't know they were going to Mexico, bro. I like Chris called us at 12:30 last night.
Did you see Carlito's Way?
No,
You didn't see Carlito's Way, dude. What? I swear to God, can you just take like 2 weeks off from life and just watch movies?
No, dude, I can't do that. I can't. That's just. First of all, I would get bored of the movies. I pay more attention to the markets. Second of all, I think some of these movies are just not that exciting to sit and watch. But you know what? Maybe in the new apartment, I'm gonna set up like a. Well, first of all, there's a theater in the new. You can rent out the theater.
Dude, we're gonna build a theater in your apartment.
No, no, dude, literally.
No, I know, but we're gonna put an 85-inch or 100-inch TV in your apartment. We're gonna freaking make it where you want to watch it.
They have a really big one, and I feel like that's where I could actually like sit and watch it.
Well, please freaking watch Top Gun in there. Please.
Dude, I tried watching it the other day on Prime. I got kind of bored.
Don't do that. The first one?
Yeah, 1996. Yeah.
It was not 96. It was like 86.
Oh, 86. Whatever it was. Like.
Dude,
no, sorry.
Top Gun
Top
it was one of the greatest movies ever made.
It wasn't Top Gun. It was Mission Impossible.
Okay. First Mission Impossible is amazing. But, yeah, dude, the first Top Gun is so dope.
I want to watch Top Gun. I do agree.
It's so incredible.
It took them 30 years to make Maverick, right?
And Maverick was incredible.
I haven't watched it yet either, but
you know that Tom Cruise did all the flying in Maverick, right?
Dude, that guy's life
is incredible.
He loves the thrill of doing his own stunts.
Did you see the thing with him and James Gordon where he flew James Gordon around?
No.
On YouTube? Dude, you got to watch it. He made James Gordon go in a fighter jet with him.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw a documentary on him like a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't believe that he did his own stunts. He could die, bro, doing that shit.
Yeah, you need to Top Gun's incredible. Days of Confused is incredible. Gotta watch those movies.
I've watched Shawshank Redemption. Okay, I know you guys won't believe it. I've seen it. It's a good movie. It's not like all time my favorite or anything, but I've seen it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you need to do some homework and watch some movies.
All right. That is it. We're done. No Pouncer Weekly tonight. First of all, Matt's in Mexico. Second of all, there wasn't any news this week outside of the nuclear contract. The 7% drawdown because of funds selling is not rebalancing is not really news. So
you're a good role model.
Yeah. We'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate all the love and support this week. I think we just crossed 83,000 subs, which means a lot. Really incredible. And just appreciate everyone being here every single day. At this point, it's becoming a routine for a lot of people, which brings me a lot of
Since you don't have Palantir Weekly tonight, you need to watch at least one movie tonight.
I will watch a movie tonight.
If you really want to feel like you're in the 80s, Fast Times at Ridgemont High could be the movie to put you in there.
Okay. I'll do it. I will do it. Here comes the first goodbye. Dude, I do like a series of goodbyes because I get distracted. I start talking and I'm like, all right, guys. And then I start talking and then it takes 20 minutes to get out.
You're not going to watch. You're not going to watch any of this.
I will watch.
About Highlander. What about a real cult classic? Highlander? There can be only one? They're remaking it next year?
You need to watch Interstellar, Inception.
I've seen Interstellar. I've seen Inception.
You need to watch them again.
Don't need to watch them again.
They are the best movies of all time.
I'd rather watch Braveheart again. William Wallace.
No one has any faith I'm going to watch a movie tonight, bro.
No, you're not. We know you.
No one has any faith. I'm going to try. I'm really going to try. We will have Sunday Futures. We'll still do that. It's just no Pouncer Weekly tonight. All right. That is it. S&P.
Do you know what movie Now You Can't Leave is from?
Now You Can't Leave? No. What is that?
Now You Can't Leave?
What is that? No, I don't know that.
Wow.
Why are you saying wow, bro?
Because in A Bronx Tale, one of the most iconic scenes in any movie is when the bikers go into the bar and Chad Palminteri freaking closes the door, locks it, and tells them, "Now you can't leave." It's iconic.
Okay, well, in Breaking Bad, Heisenberg at one moment says, "Say my name."
Great. Nobody
And that's
cares.
over.
Nobody cares.
Dude, that is one of the most epic scenes of show history, and you haven't seen it.
Hold on.
Like, get out of here,
Did
bro.
you at least see
Get outta
freaking
here.
old? Did you at least see Old School?
What's Old School?
No, you didn't. Oh my god.
What's Old
Oh
School?
my god.
2003?
I'm gonna have a meltdown. I'm gonna have a meltdown.
Wait, who's Luke Wilson? I've never heard of this guy, bro.
Dude, I'm gonna have a meltdown.
I know Will Ferrell. I think I've heard of Vince Vaughn.
You've never seen Wedding Crashers?
Okay, I've heard of the movie, but I haven't watched it. But I've heard of it.
Stop everything. Go watch Old School and Wedding Crashers back to back. Just do it. Seriously, just do it.
Wedding Crashers and Old School back to
Oh
back.
my god, two of the greatest comedies ever made. Just do it. Just do it. It doesn't even matter which one you watch first. Like, they're so incredible.
Okay, I'll watch them, bro. I will look as I get into my 30s. I will.
There needs to be
watch all these
penalties if
movies.
you don't.
What penalty, bro? What, like,
Oh no, we need to impose penalties on your sanctions if you don't watch movies. I'm convinced this is why you didn't like fucking Billions, because you didn't like all the movie references that Axe and Wags would talk about.
No, Billions was freaking boring because they're
Stop.
talking for 95% of the show, and I want to see
Stop
them
it.
shorting a company or like hedging with call options. They're like doing nothing. They're like.
Do you at least see American Pie?
I've heard of it. I think I watched it a long time ago. I know it's a crazy film.
Dude.
I know what American Pie is.
All right.
I'm gonna get through this phase, bro. I'm gonna get these movies in me.
You need to text me later and let me know what you watch.
He's actually gonna hold me accountable now, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you later at like 10.
Oh my gosh.
No, there's no way that he's seen Basic Instinct. He probably doesn't even know who Sharon Stone is or Michael Douglas.
I know Michael Douglas is he's an actor. I've heard of him.
He is an actor, yes.
But I don't know the other.
See Superbad?
No, I've heard of it. I've never watched it.
Of course, you've heard of all these things. You've never seen it. Of course. Come on, you're wasting time. Freaking go watch Old School or
All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back Sunday Night Futures. S&P all-time highs. Congrats, everybody, for this week. And we will be back on Sunday. Appreciate you all. See you guys next time. I'm going to watch some movies tonight. I'm going to do it.
Dude, you're not going to.
I'm going to do it, bro.
Nobody believes you.
All right, so we'll talk about it on Monday.
The fact that Dark Knight is one of your favorite movies and you haven't even seen the original Batmans with Michael Keaton is crazy.
Yeah, but Dark Knight's not.
No. Jack Nicholson. Oh, my God.
It's not a bad movie.
Go watch Old School. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you guys Sunday.
Later.